Instead, apply for the new United credit card from First Hawaiian Bank and start earning double miles towards your next trip. Gas, groceries, getaway. With the new United credit card, apply at FHB.com. First Hawaiian Bank, member FDIC. Equal housing lender. Additional terms, conditions, and restrictions apply.
More protests in Hong Kong over a controversial bill that would allow criminal suspects to be extradited to mainland China. Chief Executive Carrie Lam apologized and suspended the bill, but demonstrators want her to go. Protesters say the suspension of the bill and the recent apology just isn't enough, and they fear once the demonstrations settle down, the bill will reappear. On Sunday, a written apology was issued saying that, quote, deficiencies in the government's work had led to substantial controversies and disputes in society, causing disappointment and grief among the people. Fox's Jeff Paul. The mayor of Phoenix apologizing after a video showed police officers drawing guns on a family over a stolen doll. The officers were investigating allegations that one of the children shoplifted the doll from a Family Dollar store. It turns out the child did swipe the doll, but Mayor Kate Gallego says the officers' actions were inappropriate and unprofessional. What did you do for Dad today?
The recognition of Father's Day dates back to the early 1900s when the daughter of a Civil War veteran attended a Mother's Day service in 1909 and decided fathers needed their own day too. The next year, Sonora Smart Dodd brought a petition before the Spokane clergy members to make June 5th, her dad's birthday, a day to honor fathers. The ministers liked the idea but couldn't get it done that fast, so they set it for the third Sunday in June. Dodd spent the next 60 years pushing for the official recognition of Father's Day as a national holiday.
Fox's Tanya J. Powers. Team USA moves one step closer to another Women's World Title Cup, bringing with a 3-0 victory over Chile.
Carly Lloyd scored twice. She became the first player in World Cup history with goals in 6 straight games.
Davidson with another corner, driven across, headed down, goal! U.S. Carly Lloyd's got 2.
Fox TV on the call. Julie Ertz also scored for the U.S. Next up, a Thursday showdown against undefeated Sweden.
Fox's Bob Mortale. I'm Steve Rappaport, and this is Fox News.
Security Title is honored to join in sponsoring Ray Gibson on The Point. My name is Alicia Blas from Agate, and this is where I start my day, listening to the voices of our community and sharing thoughts about issues that affect all of us. It all boils down to our people and our land. Putehi Igomamu. Protect your home. When purchasing or refinancing your home, remember to call the professionals at Security Title, just like you call Ray Gibson in the morning.
2-for-1 dinner time is back at Ruby Tuesday Guam. That's 2 fresh garden bars, 2 tasty entrees, and a sweet dessert to share for just $25.99. 2-for-1 dinner time for limited time at Ruby Tuesday Guam.
Business travel just got easier. Take your data plan with you for only $10 a day to all 17 Data2Go destinations. Never worry about additional data roaming charges when you go where your business needs you. The US, China, Thailand, and so much more. Have the assurance you need to check emails, surf the web, and stay connected. Call 688-2677 today to make sure your account is Data2Go ready. Docomo Pacific. Better together.
Family Finance has been serving the people of Guam since 1959, and they'll continue to be there for you in the years to come. Whether you're looking to get a personal loan for that summer vacation or paying off those long overdue bills, Family Finance has got you covered. Apply for a personal loan from $1,000 up to $3,600 by calling Family Finance in Agutya at 475-4545, Upper Tumon at 647-5626, or in Dededo 633-4473. Family Finance, serving the people of Guam since 1959.
Half a day and good morning, Guam. News time here at The Point is 7 minutes past 6 a.m. this Monday morning. I'm Kevin Kerrigan. Here's a look now at some of the top stories from the Guam Daily Post. Telecommunications company AT&T owes about $5.7 million in back rent to the Guam Ancestral Lands Commission on property at Tangisan Point in Dededo, according to a letter submitted to the company by the Guam Economic Development Authority. Tangisan Point is the landing station for several submarine cable systems. The Ancestral Land Commission is working with GITA on a new lease agreement with AT&T to allow the telecom giant to continue using that property. GITA Real Property Division Manager Larry Tovas said the letter and invoices were sent to AT&T on May 27th. He updated Ancestral Land Commissioners on the issue during a meeting on June 5th. According to Gita's letter to AT&T area manager Linda Rankin, AT&T held a lease with the Navy for the property, but it failed to renew that lease when it expired in 2006. AT&T has continued to use the property ever since. The Tangeesan property was transferred to GovGuam by the federal government in a 2002 quitclaim deed. Later that year, it was transferred to the Ancestral Lands Commission. Tova said he has received an email response from Rankin indicating she's eager to hear Gita's response about AT&T's continued use of the Tangeesan property. The governor's office has withdrawn Ray Tapasna's name as a nominee to the Guam Regional Transit Authority Board of Directors. Tapasna is currently serving as the director of the Guam Housing and Urban Renewal Authority. After discussions between the governor and Tapasna, Antelope spokeswoman Janella Carrera said they both came to the conclusion that serving as a board member would be a major responsibility, and it was decided that it would be better for Tapasna to focus all his efforts on initiatives at GURA instead. Tapasna was nominated by the governor earlier this year to the GRTA board because of his previous experience with that agency. In April, however, the Guam Daily Post asked if there was a potential conflict of interest as a GRTA board member while serving as GURA's director. Tapasna provided the Post with an excerpt from a legal opinion issued by GURA legal counsel Tony Perez, stating in part that Perez was not aware of any specific conflict of interest that may exist with Tapasna serving in both roles. We'll have more news after this.
KFC has finally answered the world's most important question. What came first, the chicken or the egg? And the answer is both. Introducing KFC's KFC AM, their new Southern and local-inspired breakfast. AM-loaded platter with chicken fried rice, waffles, and Colonel's chicken congee. KFC also has your all-time favorites, AM chicken and egg wraps, Southern biscuit and sausage sandwich, and hash browns. So for finger-licking good mornings, AM will never be the same at KFC. KFC, it's finger-licking good.
Let's go for a drive.
Let's take a stroll. Let's gallivant. Let's go cruising.
We all have different ways to describe how we get up and go in our cars. But whatever you may call it, you can do more of it when you save 6% off your fuel purchases at any Shell station when you use your eligible Bank of Guam Visa and MasterCard credit cards. So stop by any Guam or CNMI Shell station and start saving today. Visit bankofguam.com for more information. Terms and conditions apply. Bank of Guam, the People's Bank. Member FDIC.
10 minutes past 6 a.m. here at The Point. Department of Public Works Director Vince Areola says school bus drivers do not have radios or cell phones in their buses to contact the DPW central office if problems or questions arise or in case of accidents. Areola spoke during a roundtable hearing last Thursday at the legislature called by Senator Jose Terlahi and Vice Speaker Talina Nelson after a school bus driver earlier this year forced two elementary school students who'd gotten on the wrong bus to get off his bus nowhere near their homes. In his review of the incident, Areola said he learned there were no communication devices for drivers and only about 50% of drivers had their own personal cell phones that they could use. He said DPW is looking into whether they can obtain communications equipment for school bus drivers. Joint Region Marianas Commander Rear Admiral Shoshana Chatfield has been named president of the Naval War College. Secretary of the Navy Richard Spencer made the announcement on Friday. In his announcement, Spencer said Rear Admiral Chatfield is a historic choice for the Naval War College, calling her the embodiment of the type of warrior scholar we need now. He said Admiral Chatfield will play a pivotal role in leading the War College in line with the Naval University system that is fostering now a culture of continuous learning in the naval services. For these stories and more, log on to postguam.com or pick up a copy of today's Guam Daily Post. We've got Mike and Daryl now with a look at the weather.
Absolutely. Good morning, everyone. And what do we have here for weather? Dry trade wind weather will continue through most of the upcoming week. I love those showers last night and this morning.
Yeah, it's nice when we get a little rain through here, but looks like it's going to stay dry for the most part. Still haven't made that transition to the wet season just yet.
That's fine with me.
Yeah, well, we could use the rain, though. Fire danger is a little bit high. Let's take a look at radar real quick here and kind of look at things. We're talking about the showers that we had moved through this morning, and we can see them on the radar here, mostly for the south, but it looks like central is about to get some as well. Looks like some just about to move over parts of, Varigata to Mooning and most of the central area. So it looks like that your drive to work gonna be just a little bit wet out there as we switch back over to satellite here, and then let me see if I can get the little thing there. Hey, there we did. I did it. Ray doesn't usually let me play with these toys, so I'm kind of happy that I was able to make that transition.
Love watching you play. Just go right ahead.
That sounded weird, Daryl. I don't think we need to talk like that on the radio. Checking out the satellite here, though, we can see Guam there. We're kind of in a clear spot. We do have a weak tropical disturbance down to the south-southwest. It's been designated 94W Invest. It's not really going to affect us in any way other than what it has today. Actually, I think that may be the reason for the uptick in the showers overnight and in the early morning. Just a little more moisture to work with there. But otherwise, not much going on, man. We're just looking at pretty well dry stuff, and that's going to continue for the foreseeable future, and no big weather systems on the horizon.
And so the forecast for today is partly cloudy with isolated showers, east winds 10 to 15 miles per hour, decreasing to 5 to 10 after sunset. Highs around 90 today and lows around 79. Sunset this morning was at 5:54.
Yeah, sunrise. Yep.
Oh, sunrise. You know, I'm not used to this morning.
I know this morning thing's a little tough to get used to.
I watched the moon go down.
Yeah, that's interesting. And you saw Jupiter right next to it, too.
Yeah, and we were watching that last night as it was coming up.
Yeah, it's very cool.
Beautiful,
very
beautiful.
Nice, yeah.
So the real sunset this evening will be at 6:49. So get out and enjoy it. Great weather. Thank you for the weather this afternoon. I'm going to have to... We need a window in here.
I know, right? Yeah. Yeah, yours is over your shoulder, but if you keep looking that way, then nobody will see your pretty face on camera.
I need a rearview mirror.
That's news and weather together here on The Point, brought to you by Bank Pacific, where others grow branches, they place roots.
So what's the deal? Are you still paying for the right to have your checking account at your bank? Well, at Bank Pacific, we think it's our privilege, not our right. That's why we offer My Green Free Checking, where your monthly maintenance checking fees are zero. That's zero. And it comes with a free Visa check card and monthly green e-statements. My Green Free Checking. Bank Pacific today. Because having you as our customer, that's our privilege.
Bank Pacific.
Ray Gibson Show brought to you by the guys over at Ruby Tuesdays. Ruby Tuesdays, where they've got that fabulous 2-for-1 deal. It's the way it basically works is you and a friend eat for $25.99. Great entrees, including blackened tilapia, 6-ounce sirloin steaks, half rack of ribs, chicken fresco, and plenty more. Just imagine the look of delight on the person who you like to watch, who you like to feed, eating, and then going, this ain't going to cost me an arm and a leg. Yahoo! We charge. Find that at Ruby Tuesdays. 2-for-1 dinner times, $25.99. Also brought to you by American President Lines. They're shipping the future. Micronesia Renewable Energy has now got battery packs that they'd love to attach to your solar system. So the next time GPA decides, or next time a cat wanders into a compound, you might not even notice. And, of course, it's Performance Days over at Cars Plus. You can find them up and mighty, and they're happy to talk to you about getting behind the wheel of a brand new Challenger or Charger. Hey, 1.99% credit, or 1.99% APR on your good credit at the good folks at Cars Plus and Mighty.
The Ray Gibson Show. Morning talk that matters. Call now, 888-TALK. That's 888-8255.
And good morning to you. I'm Darrell Taggarty, sitting in for Ray Gibson. So interesting to hear his voice perky at this hour of the morning. But I'm here sitting in for him. I would say he's vacationing, but I think he's just off having fun doing what he does very well in another place. And I'll be with you for the balance of this week. Thanks for tuning in so early this morning, whether you're on the radio or whether you're online. We've got the first 10 people already, already lined up. I want to thank you all for tuning in, and we'll go ahead and take a look at what's going on. If you've got something to say this morning, be sure to give us a call here at 828-8255, 828-888.
That's right, 888-8255.
888. Where did I get the other one?
TALK.
TALK. And please be careful this morning if you're on your way to work, because it hasn't rained as much as it has over the last 12 or so hours. We haven't had that amount of rain for some weeks. And so the roads may have some slippery spots, especially the older ones where the oil is rising to the surface. And so be careful out there. It's a beautiful Monday morning, and here we go. The first out of the blocks on Facebook is Mark Cruz. So thank you very much. There we go.
Sometimes you wanna go where everybody knows your name, and they're always glad you came. You wanna be where you can see our troubles are all the same. You wanna be where everybody knows your name.
And I've already told you, Mark S. Cruz, first one out of the blocks this morning. Thank you very much for joining the elbowing yourself into first place the first thing this morning. Followed by John Ray Titano. Good morning to you, sir. Anita Moffness with the Valentine Eyes is number 3. James Howard, faithful listener and follower of this program, as is Ishmael Velez, who... well, I guess he's supposed to be first, but we'll see about tomorrow. Nick Perlowski is here. Dennis Bensur. Yoich Rengil is with us this morning early on. And Patty Santiago, Tony, and Annette Atta. That's the top 10 with us this morning on Facebook. And we've got more adding all the time. And so we'll go to your comments in just a few minutes. But, if those of you out there are wondering what's going on with hearing my voice this morning, it's Ray is off island. And so I'm going to be doing this show for the next, being with you for the next week. And I got to let you in on a little secret. I haven't done morning news since 1982. So as I asked the folks on Facebook, please be gentle with me. You can call, make your comments. I'd love to hear from you this morning. But if I'm like the radio host equivalent of all thumbs, well, that is me this morning. I'll get used to this pace and get used to the morning instead of late night, especially Monday mornings. I am not a morning person, and Monday mornings have not been my strong suit for many, 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 many years. Monday mornings in particular. But I can. So let's do it.
Yeah, this job will make you a morning person. I have been kind of a morning person for much of my life, and then just started here working in radio. And, of course, my mornings now start at 3 o'clock, even on Sundays.
Well, when I first started in radio, the slot I got was 6 to 9 a.m., a music show, and I had to do 15 minutes of news off the AP wire.
Wow, yeah.
Rip and read at 8 o'clock.
Back in the day.
And I was the first one in the door. I had to go in and turn on the transmitter and get 40 feet of newsprint off the AMP teletype and start my show and work on that. That was in Baltimore back in summer of '81.
It's similar to my first experience. Mine was also doing a morning show on what's called grassroots country, and all of the music was on disc, and it was also on tape. And so I was playing in that. But yeah, I got in there first thing in the morning. I had to power up the generators when it was time to switch to a non-directional once the sun came up.
Mm-hmm.
And pull the news wire off of there. And at that point, we got AP, and we also got the Texas State Network, which was actually a great wire source, news source. It was really neat. And that's how it started, man. 6 to 9 every morning.
But
grassroots country.
I'm happy to be here because this is a great radio show. I listen to it every chance I get. And being not a morning person, but I can roll over and turn it on and not have to move too far. So usually you don't see me on Facebook, but I am there on the radio. And so I'm a radio person. I do enjoy the radio. So thank you very much for tuning in this morning. Life goes on. Whether we have Ray Gibson and Bob Klitzkie, Talk Radio, Kevin Kerrigan and the Guam Daily Post, or anyone else telling us what's going on beyond our personal horizons, outside our own circles. Life goes on. When you hear the news here, it's not about the hottest song, the latest fashion statements, or who's schlepping who. It's about how well your public servants are serving you. None of it would be worth mentioning if these stories do not shine a light on our expectations versus reality. That's what these news stories are all about. Are we getting what we expect? And we only know part of the story. Whatever is brought into us by Kevin and Jerry and other reporters, it's only part of the story. It's the part of the story that they can uncover. And it's a story that's actually been going on in reality in these various agencies and nooks and crannies of our public sphere here on Guam. The real story, the whole story, is known by the people who are in it, who have been living it, whose jobs it is to run these various functions for us. And then we find out about it, it's news, because that's not part of our circle. We only know part of the story. Those of you who are directly involved know more. Whatever we talk about here is all we know as an interactive news medium. We don't work in those agencies individually. I don't. We were not elected or take an oath. We don't lead any political movements. We only have one vote just like you. We're doing what we can. Action on any of these topics that are brought up in the news is up to you. You, the listener, you, the citizen, you, the resident, you who have a stake in the future of this island, as we do. But the action is up to you. We're doing the action that we can here on Talk Radio. And that is what we do. As a free press, as publication, and as Guam Daily Post as a publication, we're doing what we can to keep you informed. But this democracy belongs to you. And this government belongs to you. Taxpayer, voter, resident. And so as a taxpayer, a voter, a resident, as a worker in one of these agencies, as a concerned citizen, your action lends that voice. Whether your action is to call in here or, you call in, talk about what it is that you do know directly, or you can talk with your relatives and neighbors and friends and see about finding out what it is. You tell them, or talk to each other and get to know more about these subjects so that you are more involved in making decisions in the future. And if Guam is not the way you want, you can change it. If you wait for someone else to act, well, that's what we have going on right now. Everyone's waiting for someone else to act. The reporters that go out and try to dig up stories to find out, what's going on. But as you know, there's no lack of stories for what's going on this island. And, the federal government will take what it wants for its own purposes, its own mission. It knows what it needs. It goes and gets it here. Businesses will find ways to make money however they can. Politicians, bureaucrats, and criminals will all act as they please unless and until you hold them responsible in order for this community to meet your expectations. That's what it is we're doing here. And that's, if you haven't kind of heard it from Ray over the and Bob Klitzkie in the afternoon on Tall Tales, if you haven't heard that primary mission and theme coming through, well, that's what I hear. I hear us talking about important and serious matters that are in our common sphere, not things that have to do, that tickle us individually. But so here we are. And I want to thank you very much for joining us this morning. Again, our telephone number, 888-8255. Please feel free to call in. Taking a look at some of the comments that we've got so far. Oh, that's not Ray, imposter. Yeah, Ishmael. You were on notice. Last week, when I was sitting here, Ray kept saying it. I'm leaving. But, believe it now. Here we are. It's Monday morning. It's a beautiful Monday morning. And you've got us on the radio, and here we are. Let's see. Ken Yongrero says, admit it, Ishmael, you had Ray abducted. James Howard commenting about how Ishmael's comment, Ray's been probed. And that was what was happening. That's why Ray mentioned it. So you'd have that that visual in mind as we got into the morning, Monday morning here. Let's see what else here we got. Let's see, Pam Duvall saying good morning all. Juanita Machi is here, and let's see, tough crowd today. James Howard says. First Awaken show where we started getting to know each other with the imposter Ray. Well, we're all getting to know each other, aren't we? And we've known each other over the past year with Ray kind of herding us all together and pointing us at the important stories, and Kevin coming in and giving us the what's what headlines and keeping us informed of what's going on here in the community. And Yoish, where is Ray? Ray's in Manila right now, and he's going to be winging on to Singapore and a trade show, an important trade show.
Yeah. He's on a big break.
Well, it's a well-deserved break. We've been talking about this ever since I came available to take care of Bob's show in the afternoon. So that was about maybe 6 months ago, that it would be possible for Ray to get on a plane and go. And so I'm making that happen. I'm allowing that to happen. He can go. And so here we are this morning. And let's see, we got, no, Ray didn't get fired. Let's see, rain falling this morning, Dwayne Santos says. Pam, they fired him for talking about cannabis too much. Oh, you can talk about all you want. The only problem is where you imbibe it. It's not illegal if you're sitting out in the middle of nowhere and nobody knows. It's like the tree falling in the forest. But if you walk into a controlled or regulated area, or do a controlled or regulated function, then you are really going to find out where cannabis lays in the scheme of things for importance. It is, I didn't even tell you what time it is. It's 6:29, 6:30 right now, and it is time to get back to Kevin Kerrigan and the headlines from the Guam Daily Post.
Half a day and good morning, Guam. In the headlines from the Guam Daily Post this morning, access to the Menengan Memorial Site this year is now certain after the family involved in a property dispute with GovGuam decided to drop their threat of blocking access. However, Mark Colby, the son of one of the Mesa siblings who inherited the property in the area, said access will not be granted without something in return. Colby said the argument of the spot where the monument sits is debatable and it could take years to settle. However, he said the government does acknowledge that the road leading into the memorial and the property surrounding it does belong to the Mesa family. GovGuam has promised to survey the property, and they will discuss further arrangements later, said Colby. Colby says his mother and her siblings inherited the property from their mother, Virginia Baza Mesa. They initially claimed the land the memorial sat on was theirs as well. Public Law 27-97 leased the lot to the Menengan Memorial Foundation specifically for the purpose of establishing a memorial to the massacre that occurred on that site back in World War II. Willie Flores of the foundation said the organization respects the Mesa family's concerns but maintains the memorial does lie on GovGuam property. Autopsies on Guam are currently being conducted by acting medical examiner Dr. Philip Dauterman. The chief medical examiner's office has not had a permanent medical examiner since the retirement of Dr. Aurelio Espinola earlier this year. Espinola served as the chief medical examiner for more than 25 years. Dauterman is a pathologist and the lab director at the Commonwealth Healthcare Corporation in the CNMI. Dauterman recently completed an autopsy on a 70-year-old woman identified as Sachiko Caseda. She died on May 26 at Ipao Beach in Tumon. Cause of death listed as drowning. An autopsy also was completed on a 60-year-old man who died beachside near the Pacific Star. His cause of death also listed as drowning by the medical examiner's office. The Attorney Generals on Guam and the CNMI are collaborating in a search for a forensic pathologist to cover the region. The Department of Revenue and Taxation will mail more than 1,800 tax refund checks out today. The refunds total $6 million. The refunds are for error-free tax returns filed on or before February 4th. Tax refunds are being garnished for taxpayers who owe a debt to GovGuam. For these stories and more, log on to postguam.com or pick up a copy of today's Guam Daily Post.
News time at 93.3 The Point is 6:32.
And that's iConnect time, something to make your mouth water, too. Swing by the nearest iConnect. Ask them about great rates and prices on mobile and internet plans for 2019.
When your family needs medical care, how often do you find the need to visit multiple clinics? When a child has a serious ailment, do you find yourself meeting a medical provider only to learn you must go somewhere else for testing? At the FHP Health Center, you can find multiple specialties and testing services under one roof. And if your family needs urgent care, FHP is there for you with convenient weekday, evening, and weekend hours. Voted the island's best clinic and Pika's best 2 years in a row. FHP, our island, your clinic. Learn more at fhpguam.com.
And at 6:33, this is what it looks like out in traffic here on island. I'm taking a look at the traffic gizmo, and it looks like there's smooth sailing all the way through. There's a little bit of, no, there's not even any congestion. I see nothing. And let's make sure my gizmo's working. But boy, this looks good. Let's see. Maybe I'm just not. Yeah, on the traffic setting. Yeah, I don't see anything going on. Everything's smooth sailing so far this morning in traffic. And that is traffic and the news.
Discover a new galaxy. GTA introduces the new Samsung Galaxy S10 in 3 different sizes. The Galaxy S10 comes with cool new features like Power Share that allows you the ability to share your battery power with other devices. Or you can capture a wider world with its new camera featuring an ultra-wide lens for when you need to take pictures of the whole family. And with GTA handset payment option, you can take home a Galaxy S10 for $0 down. GTA, we start with you.
The Ray Gibson Show. Any speaker, anytime. Morning talk that matters.
Right now, traffic. Yeah, taking a look at that gizmo, and that's what I'm trying to do is keep an eye on just what I have to look at everywhere. I see little spots of traffic everywhere around, but it's just really, really light. A couple spots up in Jigo, and a spot just near the intersection at the where San Torres Road comes up to the Upper Tumon. At the above the Reef Hotel there, and a little bit as you approach Kmart. Otherwise, some on Route 10A. You're just getting my sea legs here. Yeah, traffic looks good. Traffic is starting to pick up, but nothing. There's some on the approaching the overpass and Route 10A and the Route 16 intersection, building up a bit. But yeah. Right now, traffic here on The Point. And good morning to all of you. I want to point out that there's stories in the Guam Daily Post today that are not so much intended to point out that there's something wrong going on, but to make sure that you understand what's going on in the community, giving you good information or background information so as the stories continue to develop, you have that information under your belt. And that is, I have to compliment Kevin on these stories today, because we are getting good information and there's more questions, of course, but it's good information that we are getting from the Guam Daily Post today, and I'm going to, such as the 101,000 purchase order to maintain 15 public restrooms. That's good information. Not only is there something going on, but we actually have a figure and a time frame. And so we know what it is that it takes to make Guam a competitive world destination. How much does it cost to keep our bathrooms clean? And maybe this won't be enough. We're going to know over the next several months whether this is sufficient. And we still don't know whether the employees who are assigned to these areas are up to the task or even are going to be able to face down, report, and be a factor in enforcing vandalism and theft laws for those who may challenge their authority to keep the bathrooms clean or to keep them in good working order. So we may see that $101,000 for a calendar quarter change. And I have to applaud GVB and the Guam Daily Post for bringing this information out. Also, something that we may not have a direct involvement with, but every year we send some of our best and brightest to the military academies of the United States. And on page 1, we've got 2 graduates who actually, I know the parents. We know the parents. Let's see. Dustin Dalino, graduating from the Air Force Academy on May 30, is the son of the Guam Daily Post executive editor Gaynor Dalino. And so congratulations to Dustin, to Second Lieutenant Dustin Dalino on his graduation. But also, it takes a family and parents and a community to raise a child. And so he's a product of this community, and we should all be proud. And the other graduate, new Air Force Second Lieutenant Chloe Gadsden. And if you don't know her father, Michael Gadsden, then you're missing a real treat. He's a fine, fine man. He works in federal law enforcement here on Guam. I met him like 10 years ago. And it's just such a treat anytime I run into him. And so I know that he has another daughter who's excelled at tennis. But here's a daughter graduating from the United States Air Force Academy and being congratulated by President Trump on the front page, a picture of which is on the front page of today's Guam Daily Post. And we should all be proud that this community is turning out fine academic and community and industry leaders. And this is what can happen when our school systems are doing the right thing. And so let's celebrate with the proud parents and for the nation for contributing these fine young people to the ranks of our armed services. Let's see. 888-8255. I want to thank those of you who are online and talking to us and have comments. But by all means, if you've got something on your mind, give us a call here at 888-8255. And let's see, what else do we have here going on? It is a beautiful Monday morning, and we see in the news that Senator Sabina Perez plans to plug revenue leaks due to faulty rules and regulations. And this is Bill 69. And I'm happy to see this, that Senator Perez is going to plug these the leaks, using Bill 69, is proposing to plug the leaks. But the point I see in stories like this, and that is that majority senators are legislative committee chairs. And we're 6 months into the term. And how many of them have been reviewing the laws and regulations under their purview and coming to know the agencies for shortcomings that allow agencies and private interests to skate, to not live up fully to their mission, earn their pay. We're paying these people to do this work. And how is it that we can go for years and not have the work done? We in the public need these services, but the excuse has been no money or no authority. And we taxpayers need to get our money's worth out of highly paid agency directors, the ones that just got the big raises, right off the bat, they got the big raises, and they just got started. Now, 6 months in, what do we have to show for it? And our $8 million a year per year, $8 million per year legislature. And if these highly paid people, expensive staffed missions are very, very clear. If they can't meet our expectations, could that revenue be put to better use? Is there an alternative to having a Guam legislature? Is there an alternative to having a director of XYZ agency? Is there? We already thought that we had an alternative to that, which was to eliminate the deputy directors. But this administration has gone back on that, and they've decided to use that available money, tax revenues, to hire deputy directors. But are we getting the additional production? And 6 months in to the administration and 6 months, 1/4 way through the legislative term, what do we have to show for that amount of money that has been spent? I'm not talking about the routine stuff that the rank and file do. I'm talking about the directors and the senators and their staffs, because they have a limited term and they have a mission to make the government of Guam move in the directions that were decided in the last election. Not for every employee to do the same thing at the year that they retire 30 years from now, or 20 years from now, or 10 years from now, as they did on the day they were hired. Directors, update that and direct the fulfillment of the mission. And we should really be looking at what we see as production. And the only way we're going to know this is by the media. They're either going to tell us through the media, or the media is going to find out that they're just sitting on their hands. And there was a story in the Post today about Ray Tapasna up at Gura, saying that Michael Duenas, his predecessor, wasn't evaluated in accordance with the law before he got a raise from $128,800 to about $136,500 a year. And this is the executive director to run a 100% federally funded agency that provides not only housing assistance to Guam's needy, the ones who actually qualify by federal standards. Okay, he's running that agency according to the federal regulations. Not only that, but also working on plans and construction of public facilities, such as police facilities, community centers. We've got a new precinct coming up. And these are all constructed with the assistance of Gura. And so I don't have an issue with the amount of money being paid. But now my question is, did Ray Tapasna get $128,800 on his first, as he came into the new job? Or did he get the $136,500 that his predecessor got without evaluations? And that's one thing missing from this story John O'Connor put together for Guam Daily Post. And so maybe we'll hear more about that in the future. Maybe somebody out there already knows, and you can let us know. So just having fun with this today. So where are we? It's 6:47 is where we are. And we are going to be letting you know who brings this program to you. And we'll continue to let you know just what we can get done. Let's take a look at some of the comments online. Let's see, do I go left or right here? Taking a look at, see, if I look to the right, then I've got the screen that Ray looks at. And you're used to that. But if I look to my left, I can respond under my own name. Otherwise, I'm going to be a real Ray Gibson imposter, and that's not what I should be doing here. Let's see. Got some. Let's see. Smug Wimp's with us this morning, and he's saying, "Who got the coffee?" Yeah, my wife makes really good coffee, Mr. Wimp. I just, she got up and brewed me my coffee this morning, and so that was the biggest question, whether I was going to be able to keep pace. So all of you getting yourselves ready, getting ready to go to work, are doing so, and I don't slow you down. And then see, Pam Duvall's saying that I'm doing all right, and see, James Howard also. I guess I'm getting some good marks here, and so thank you very much. Let's see. I can't. The one thing I need to let you know, I don't have WhatsApp. Not because I'm a conscientious objector, but because, as some of you may know, I don't work full time. I do. I work full time. I take care of my dad. But I don't go out and earn a living in a way that can allow me to get the latest and greatest phone with all that RAM, and I can have both line, which is necessary for my wife, and to use my phone to keep in touch with her family, or for me to talk to my wife online. On the program line, I can't have line and WhatsApp on the phone at the same time, not enough room. And so I don't have WhatsApp for this gig for this 1 week. And so for those of you who may be trying to reach us by WhatsApp, we'll have to try to figure that out later in the week, how to get that done. But just to let you know, I don't have Instagram. I do have Facebook Live. I can see your comments on Facebook Live, and I want to thank you very much for being here. Let's see. Let's see. Yep, that's where we are. And we'll talk more about who we've got online with us. But right now, there's a story last week about health insurance costs going up. Our friend Frank Campillo from Select Care has been a straight shooter for years and years, talking about how the industry is changing without giving away any trade secrets, of his own company. And he's given us a very good window into the way that health care on Guam is evolving, as it is throughout the United States. Not only the technology, the pharmacy prices, but also the structure of how we get and pay for health care. And so I want to thank Frank for his candid remarks last week that were reported. And we know healthcare costs have been going up for decades. Payment and financing structure favors system-wide reform. Little reforms here and there are not going to work because it's already tied together so strongly. We just can't roll back to the day when family doctors made house calls and accept just whatever medical attention we can individually afford. Oh, I have this ailment, but I can't afford it, so I'll just suffer and die early. We're not doing that. Nobody does that these days. We have a hospital that is mandated to treat everybody. We have doctors and nurses and other healthcare professionals who have taken an oath to do what they can to alleviate suffering and to treat those who are in front of them, and members of the public, of the community, whether you can pay for this or not, you've come to expect medical care to the nth degree. And there is no limit. Where's the limit? Because we've come to expect that there are no limits. Because pricing is not, the market is not holding healthcare costs down. And so that's why it's such a big dilemma. So, Frank, when Frank Campillo was in the news the other day, I was wondering whether there's a design for financing public health care on Guam that would attract the Guam health insurance companies to participate, to make sure that some kind of market incentives were in place and competition was employed as a strategy to help keep healthcare costs down. That would be an acceptable policy. Gov Guam is a huge, huge customer of healthcare in this market. Guam and U.S. taxpayers are underwriting our hospital and indigent care. Insurers only cover 70% of the billings. Now, why is that? Maybe those of you know out there. Let's see, we've got a call on line 1. Let's go ahead and take our first caller here on line 1. We got a hand up. Are we there? Okay. Let's stay with what we're doing here. We attracted a private investor to build a new hospital on Guam and bring in specialty care that no other doctors brought in to offer this community. And our own hospital did not implement on its own. There's enough money in the health sector on Guam to support numerous private clinics. You see new clinics going up every year. Big new clinics. Doctors' clinics. Doctors are retiring. They've done their duty. And new doctors are coming in. They find Guam a good place to invest and to grow their profession, and provide us with health care. And so there's enough money to attract them. They think it's worth being here. And even at that, some patients still go off island for treatment. Now, some years back, our leaders turned down Obamacare. That's a story all in itself. And then we ended up getting this pot of money that we're having trouble spending. That's also been recent. But is there a way that we can connect the dots? Not you and I, not you in the listening audience and me sitting here behind this microphone, but there are people who know how to connect the dots so that our government can use its purchasing power to optimize health care coverage that we taxpayers are paying for. It's not how we're going to get the $45 million to give to GMH to cover their billing shortfalls this year. It's how do we make the system so that it pays for what we can pay for and come clean with what we cannot pay for. If you're buying private health insurance, if you're working in the private sector or you're a manager in the private sector, you know that it says right in there what we will and what we will not pay for. So you read that and you know. But there are tens of thousands of people on Guam who never have to read those exclusions. And the government lets everyone believe that we'll go the distance for them, even whether we can afford it or not. And somehow, people are here, medical professionals are on Guam making a living and investing and believing in the future of health care on Guam. And we should too. We should too. Because when we do go to a clinic or to a hospital or the other hospital, When we walk in the door, we are treated. U.S. standard health care. Unlike anywhere else nearby. Unless you can go to Taiwan and get it. Unless you can go to the Philippines and get it. Unless you go to Japan and get it. Unless you go to Thailand and get it. If you can get on the plane and, you know, your health is such that you can take the trip and you've got the money in your wallet to go and slap down the money in those other markets, you can get it. You can fly to Hawaii and get it. But actually, you can just go down the street and get it. U.S. standard health care. Now, what is it worth to make it routine without all this gnashing of teeth and caterwauling and can't figure it out headlines, especially with the salaries we're paying people to do this? And so while you're chewing on that, and some of those, got some comments coming up. Ken Leongrero says the problem is that new hospital is the same one. The problems for the new hospital is the same one that GMH is facing. Small, underinsured, small underinsured or uninsured population. Yeah, but we are covering those underinsured and uninsured population. We just haven't said this is the limit of what we're going to cover. And so, you know, we're in a bind here. But it's a bind, it's a crisis that doesn't need to be a crisis. It just needs to be managed, and it needs to be addressed, and it needs to be made a routine matter and get on with it. Instead of, you know, successive managers, oh, I've fallen and I can't get up. I'm just so tired of hearing that because it's so unbecoming. We wouldn't need the managers. We don't need the managers making how many thousands of dollars, over $100,000, to tell us the same stuff year after year. We just don't. Well, it's 7 o'clock already. 6:59. It's time to go to Fox News. We can take a little break here, and we'll be back with Kevin Kerrigan and headlines from the Guam Daily Post and our weather, and take a look at the traffic in just a few moments. So do stay tuned.
You're listening to KUSG Bagadnia.
Getting ready for round two. I'm Steve Rappaport, Fox News. President Trump kicks off his re-election campaign this week. It's a journey to the White House that began with an unforgettable entrance. Fox's Gernal Scott has more live.
Steve, back in 2015, Donald Trump came down an escalator at Trump Tower and announced he'd run for president. 4 years later, this coming Tuesday, he plans a bigger announcement to seek a second term in Florida. He hasn't let out any details of the event other than to say there have been tens of thousands of requests to fill a 20,000-seat arena in Orlando. He says the First Lady, Melania, and the Pences will be there for this announcement. Now, the president seeking a second term, no secret. He officially filed to run again on January 20th, 2017. The day he was sworn into office, Steve.
Gernal, the president has something to be concerned about, according to the latest Fox News poll.
Numbers showed the president trailing 5 Democrats in a head-to-head matchup. Former Vice President Joe Biden comes in first by a wide margin, with 49% saying that they would vote for him over the president's 39%. Senators Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren, Kamala Harris, and Mayor Pete Buttigieg also beat the president, although by much smaller margins. Buttigieg and Harris with just 1 point. That poll has a margin of error of 3 percentage points.
Fox's Jackie Heinrich, some of the candidates spending the weekend on the campaign trail in South Carolina.
While the candidates came here to talk about economics, it was not lost on them that we are on the eve of a somber anniversary. It was tomorrow will mark the 4th anniversary at an historically African-American church where a white supremacist walked inside, opened fire, killing 9 church members.
Fox's Jonathan Seri in Charleston. 20 of the Democrats running will take the stage next week over 2 nights for the first presidential debate of the 2020 race. This is Fox News.
When it comes to power and performance, nothing compares to Dodge. And right now at Cars Plus in Mighty, you can save thousands on many Dodge vehicles in stock during our Dodge Performance Days. Like a new 2019 Grand Caravan SE, save $4,250 or save $6,150 on a new Durango SXT. Looking for more power? Take home a new Charger SXT Plus today for only $37,689 or save over $7,000 on a new Challenger GT. Get more power and performance at Cars Plus in Mighty during Dodge Performance Days. Cars Plus, driven by you.
Your home is one of the most important investments you'll make in your life. At Nanbo Insurance, you can rest easy knowing that you're covered with reliable and affordable homeowners insurance. Nanbo makes it easy to protect what matters the most so you can enjoy the moments that matter the most. With Nanbo, you can also save big when you bundle up and insure your car, home, motorcycle, or business. Enjoy great savings up to 50%. Visit nanbo.com or call 477-9754 for more details.
Britain and Saudi Arabia joining the U.S. in blaming Iran for suspected attacks on oil tankers in the Gulf of Oman. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo on Fox News Sunday.
President Trump has done everything he can to avoid war. We don't want war. We've done what we can to deter this. The Iranians should understand very clearly that we will continue to take actions that deter Iran from engaging this kind of behavior.
Some Democrats say the attacks show the administration's strategy for Iran isn't working.
This is, I think, the worst of all situations, and the maximalist pressure campaign has maximally failed and only heightened the risk of conflict.
House Intelligence Committee Adam Schiff on CBS's Face the Nation. Boeing's chief executive says they made a mistake in handling a cockpit warning system in the new 737 MAX jets. Dennis Muhlenberg telling reporters in Paris the company's communication with regulators, customers, and the public was not consistent, and that's unacceptable. The MAX jets grounded worldwide after 2 crashes killed nearly 350 people. Virginia's Attorney General says it's time to legalize it.
Mark Herring saying Saturday that Virginia should start to decriminalize possession of small amounts of marijuana and eventually legalize the drug. The Democratic AG saying criminal prosecutions are costly to state and local governments and disproportionately affect African Americans. Herring making those comments in an op-ed in the Daily Press and in comments to reporters at a Democratic fundraiser in Richmond. Virginia's Republican-controlled General Assembly has killed past efforts to decriminalize marijuana.
Fox's Paul Stevens. The men in black are back, but not exactly with a vengeance.
We've never faced a threat like the Hive. They can take the form of anyone. I haven't seen that before. Even our own agents.
Men in Black International takes the top box office spot, but fell short of expectations, grossing an estimated $28.5 million. I'm Steve Rappaport, and this is Fox News.
In illness and in wellness, Calvo's Select Care is health care that is there for you. That's why over 80% of the Guam medical community places their trust and insures with us. We offer our members wellness and fitness programs for a healthier lifestyle and provide a comprehensive medical network on and off island to help members from unexpected illnesses. Contact Calvo's Select Care today for more information.
2-for-1 dinner time is back at Ruby Tuesday Guam. That's 2 fresh garden bars, 2 tasty entrees, and a sweet dessert to share for just $25.99. 2-for-1 dinner time for limited time at Ruby Tuesday Guam.
Here at APL, our core values give the company its heart and soul. Whether it's connecting your business with our global network through our newly enhanced service or investing our efforts into giving back to the community, APL is committed to serving you. We humbly honor the opportunity to find innovative solutions for you and your business. To learn more about our enhanced service, call 588-4651 or visit www.apl.com/Guam for more details.
We have some really great home loan programs, but did you know we have great business loans too? Every day we're working with companies to purchase equipment, to buy or build properties, or make tenant improvements. We offer letters of credit, working capital, and term loans, and we make all of our credit decisions here. Commercial loans, commercial banking from Bank Pacific.
Bank Pacific, where others put branches, we place roots.
Equal housing lender, member FDIC. Viva Bank Pacific.
Half a day and good morning, Guam. News time here at The Point is 7 minutes past 7 a.m. this Monday morning. I'm Kevin Kerrigan. Here's a look now at some of the top stories from the Guam Daily Post. Access to the Menengan Memorial Site this year is now certain after the family involved in a property dispute with Gov Guam decided to drop their threat of blocking access. However, Mark Colby, the son of one of the Mesa siblings who inherited property in the area, said access will not be granted without something in return. Colby said the argument over the spot where the monument sits remains debatable, and it could take years to settle. However, he said the government of Guam now acknowledges that the road leading into the memorial and the property surrounding it does belong to the Mesa family. Gov Guam has promised to survey the properties, and they will discuss further arrangements with the Mesa family later. Colby says his mother and her siblings inherited the property from their mother, Virginia Baza Mesa. They initially claimed the land the memorial sat on was theirs as well. Public Law 27-97 leased the lot to the Menengan Memorial Foundation specifically for the purpose of establishing a memorial on the site. Willie Flores of the foundation said the organization respects the family's concerns but maintains that the memorial does lie on Gov Guam property. School bus drivers do not have radios or Gov Guam supplied communication devices to contact DPW's central office if questions or problems arise or in case of accidents. Department of Public Works Director Vince Areola testifying during a roundtable hearing last Thursday. The hearing was called by Senator Jose Terlahi and Vice Speaker Talina Nelson after a school bus driver forced two elementary school students who'd gotten on the wrong bus off of his bus nowhere near their homes. Areola said in cases like that, DPW policy calls for school bus drivers to return the students to their school, or if there's no one available on campus, then the driver should drop the student off at the mayor's office. Areola said during his review of the incident, he learned there were no communication devices for drivers. He said only 50% of drivers had their own personal cell phones. He said DPW is looking at obtaining communication equipment for school bus drivers. We'll have more news after this.
We know too well the inconvenience of not having power after a storm. You worry about the food in the freezer going bad. Nights get hot. It's hard finding comfort when going to sleep. These are realities. But with solar and battery storage from Micronesia Renewable Energy, these realities can be a thing of the past. The solar works during the day and the batteries power your home at night. Call 632-2613 to see how solar plus battery storage can make life a little more convenient. MRE, the smarter choice.
Let's go for a drive.
Let's take a stroll. Let's gallivant. Let's go cruising.
We all have different ways to describe how we get up and go in our cars. But whatever you may call it, you can do more of it when you save 6% off your fuel purchases at any Shell station when you use your eligible Bank of Guam Visa and MasterCard credit cards. So stop by any Guam or CNMI Shell station and start saving today. Visit bankofguam.com for more information. Terms and conditions apply. Bank of Guam, the People's Bank. Member FDIC.
10 minutes past 7 a.m. here at The Point. A $101,490 purchase order to clean and maintain 15 of Guam's public park restrooms has been finalized with Guam Cleaning Masters. The Department of Parks and Rec finalized the deal that went into effect on June 1st. The 4-month contract lasts through September with an option to renew, dependent upon the availability of funds. The cleanliness and maintenance of the island's parks and bathrooms has been a matter of concern in recent months. During a public hearing in April, John Coe, the president of the Korea-Guam Travel Association, told senators that tourists have been forced to relieve themselves in the jungle because public bathrooms were either closed or too filthy to use. The Department of Revenue and Taxation is mailing out roughly 1,800 tax refund checks today. The refunds total $6 million. The checks cover error-free returns filed on or before February 4th of this year. Tax refunds are being garnished for taxpayers who owe debts to GovGuam. For these stories and more, log on to postguam.com or pick up a copy of today's Guam Daily Post. Daryl and Mike now take a look at our weather.
Yeah, we have weather. It's a beautiful day outside. Let's see what we have here. We're expecting today dry trade wind weather continuing through most of the upcoming week.
That's pretty much what we're looking at. Yeah, still haven't made that transition into a more seasonal wet pattern. It's still kind of stuck in the dry pattern, which is really weird because usually this time of year we've already had a couple of storms, pass on by nearby at some point. But Not yet. Do have a disturbance down to our southwest that I'll show you on satellite here in just a moment. But for us, not much going on. Had some showers come on through. I'll go ahead and switch that on over now real quick, and let's get to the radar. There it is. We did have some showers roll on through earlier last hour. Looks like that's cleared out. Not much upstream for us to look forward to. And we're in the shift, what they call the diurnal cycle between night and day. And so the nighttime showers will peter out a bit and wait as the atmosphere will stabilize a bit. Then the heat will start destabilizing the atmosphere, and then we'll get more showers that may pop up a little bit later on in the afternoon. Taking a look at the satellite here real quick, and let me see if I can pull up there we go.
The pointer, there we are.
Yeah, the little pointer, but I gotta get I gotta get us down there.
There we
go. There we go. So there we are. There's the Guam pointer. We got blobbage down to the southwest. That is 94 WN-Vest, a very weak tropical disturbance. It's going to keep on moving really kind of west and then off to the northwest and get caught up in the frontal system. The frontal activity that was to the north of us last week is kind of pulled back up to the north where it should be, so we don't have to really worry about that. For us, we can see on satellite, there's just not a whole lot to look forward to, so just enjoy the nice dry weather and enjoy a shower as well if you're lucky enough to get one.
And the forecast for today is partly cloudy skies with isolated showers, east winds 10 to 15 miles per hour, decreasing to 5 to 10 miles per hour after sunset. Highs today will be around 90 degrees and lows tonight around 79. The sun came up this morning at 5:54, and it will set this evening at 6:49. And that is weather.
Business travel just got easier. Take your data plan with you for only $10 a day to all 17 Data-to-Go destinations. Never worry about additional data roaming charges when you go where your business needs you. The US, China, Thailand, and so much more. Have the assurance you need to check emails, surf the web, and stay connected. Call 688-2677 today to make sure your account is Data-to-Go ready. Docomo Pacific. Better together.
Portions of the program brought to you by my pals over at Ruby Tuesday. They've got that 2 for $25.99 deal. And it starts with an open bar. That's open salad bar. For those of you see, we jumped into that weekend pretty quick, didn't we? Anyway, so they got the open salad bar, and then the idea is after that, you pick a couple of entrees. Now, if I was taking you, I would have the half rack of ribs because I like to have the rib thing. Now, I know that you might be eating a little bit cleaner these days, so they've gotten the blackened tilapia seasoned with Creole spices, and then they grill it to perfection. Then those are the entrees. You get the salad, you get the entrees, and then we'll split a dessert. All of that for just $25.99 at Ruby Tuesdays. It's also brought to you by Micronesia Renewable Energy. There's never been a better time to go solar. They've got these batteries now that you can attach to the panel, 632-2613. And the idea behind the batteries, if I understand it correctly, is it powers the sun. So when the sun is weak or there's a cloud over it, the batteries actually send power back to the sun. So it's like a fair trade. I'm sure I'm getting that wrong technically, but talk to the guys over at MRE. They'll straighten it out. 632-2613, and also by Cars, APL. They're shipping the future Cars Plus up in Mighty, where they've got the performance days. Don't know how much longer it's going to last. Chargers and Challengers, great deals. Financing as low as 1.99% on your good credit. 5 years, 60,000-mile limited powertrain warranty. Find that at Cars Plus in Mighty.
It's the Ray Gibson Show. Call now. 888-TALK. That's 888-8255.
Hey, welcome back to the Ray Gibson Show. I'm Darrell Taggarty, sitting in for the vacationing and working vacation of Ray Gibson. He'll be back on Monday next week. But until then, I'll be with you every morning this week here on The Point, the Ray Gibson Show. We're enjoying some comments from our online listeners. We welcome your calls at 888-8255. There we go. And we are loving the way that this is all turning out. We've got a bit of rain to keep the dust down and some interesting skies. And so enjoy your drive into work this morning. Be careful. Watch out for slippery streets because we're getting some rain again, and the roads have been wetted down enough to bring some of that oil to the surface. So be careful out there. We are enjoying some comments from our online listeners. And take a look at what we've got here. Margaret Bloss, mayor, former mayor of Assen. saying Happy Father's Day. Yeah, it was Father's Day yesterday, and I hope that all of you have had a good day, as I did. And she's wishing a Happy Father's Day to all her brothers on Guam, Nito, Greg, and Joe, and her son Richard, who's visiting, and all the fathers on Guam of all ages. Denise Legaspi is with us, Ken Leon Guerrero, Teacher Mirotreg is saying, let's go. And Siska Hutapea is with us this morning, saying half a day, Daryl. And let's see, Pam Duvall, Pat Flores, wishing us all a good morning. And going back through, Nate Horn is with us, Ishmael Velez, James Howard, Raymond Cruz, Dwayne Santos, Edward Buendicho, and let's see, who else is here? Randy Kruger is with us, Yoich, and going down through this list, some with us since really early, Eric McKinnon with us this morning as well. Tony and Annette Pinko Ada wishing good morning. And who do we have in studio? It is a great time. You know, we go to work, and here you are telling us about the world of work. Yeah.
World of Work's a good place to be. How you doing today?
And here I am.
There you are. You're working.
I'm working.
It's cool.
You know, but you know more about the world of work than it's just wonderful listening to your comments. And
I appreciate that. I know a couple things about the world of work, but I'm learning stuff every day. Every day.
Well, my wife doesn't listen to talk radio, but she happened into the kitchen while I had the show on, and she caught your show.
She said, "Turn that off."
She was wondering how often you were on. She just loved it.
She is one of the great cooks of all time.
Well, she's. I'm happy to say she has gone back to doing some baking at home.
Has she? Oh, wonderful.
Yes.
She's pretty good at it.
As many people who have known her baking over the years are familiar.
How do you stay slim in that house? But I want to know.
I nibble like a mouse, but I get to taste everything, and that's my advantage.
Yeah, she's a great cook.
Yeah. So, Jerry, what do you have? Well, it's coming up. Is it just about time for Jerry to start?
I'm ready when you are.
Well, yeah, Jerry, let's hear the words of wisdom you have for us today.
Extra Point brought to you by Guahan Insurance Services and the folks at First Hawaiian Bank. Today, we finish up with Marcus Buckingham's 9 Lies About Work. I'm Jerry Roberts, and we'll be looking at the issues of providing the right kind of feedback and how to deal with someone's potential. Next on the Extra Point.
It's important to have claims process that works for you. At Guahan Insurance Services, we make things simple and convenient. Same door you walk in to purchase your insurance is the same door you open to file your claim. We can't pretend that the car insurance claims process is fun, but we can promise a hassle-free and speedy recovery without any runarounds. For your home, auto, and business insurance, visit us at the Camacho Landmark Center on Marine Corps Drive in Tamuning. Don't forget to like us on Facebook or give us a call at 475-1162 or text 929-SAVE. That's 929-7283.
Travel the world and then some with the 2 million United Mile sweepstakes from First Hawaiian Bank. Enter and you could win the grand prize of 1 million miles or be one of 6 other lucky winners. The world is big. Our prize is bigger. Enter at fhb.com/2 million miles. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited. Sweepstake starts on May 1st and ends June 30th, 2019. Open to legal residents of Guam and CNMI. Ages 18 years or older. Visit 2millionmiles.com for official rules. First Hawaiian Bank. Member FDIC. Equal housing lender.
Okay, 9 lies about work. Here is lie number 5. People need feedback. Buckingham says people don't need feedback, actually. They need attention. Well, isn't feedback a form of attention? It can be, but most of us aren't very good at giving it, and that's mainly because we approach it from the wrong direction. Our tendency is to give people personal feedback when things aren't going well, and we deal with the symptoms rather than try to uncover the root cause of the problem. Generally, this makes the person receiving the feedback lose energy for their work. The answer is to build a base of positive attention. Research shows that positive attention is 30 times more effective than negative feedback in creating high performance. After establishing this positive base, the manager will have a much easier time when he or she has to give feedback with a negative slant to it. Most of your dealings with workers should be positive by intent. Catch them doing something right and praise them. Then, when you need to have a tougher conversation, it's much more likely the individual will be open to it. This is basic psychology, and it works across all generations. Lie number 7, people have potential. Now, you're saying, what could possibly be wrong with that? Of course, people have potential. It's how we classify them, according to Buckingham. Even if we don't write it down anywhere, we tend to separate workers into categories, such as high potential and low potential. We all do it. You look at somebody and say to yourself, she's got the tools to be great and she's going to go far. Then you look at the next worker and say he doesn't have the right skills and attitude and he's going nowhere. When we do that, we've just boxed them into our vision of their reality. Those labels are tough to shake and impact how we make decisions. How we make decisions on who gets the better opportunities. And you know that that's true. Everybody has untapped potential that their manager never gets to. I'll grant you that some have more than others. But don't you think the style of the manager and the circumstances of the job may have something to do with that? I've known people who were categorized as total failures and disinterested in their work, then got a new manager or moved on to another job and became high producers. Now, how is that possible if they were low potential? Buckingham prefers the term momentum over potential. Give a listen to this. Have we set the worker up with a development program, one that we can measure, is variable depending on how they perform, and they have a say in it. We can introduce different things into their program to go faster or slower as needed. That's a way to encourage momentum, and we don't get into the business and the game of labeling people. The book is 9 Lies About Work. The author, Marcus Buckingham. It might be a good addition to your library. That's the Extra Point. Get out there and make something good happen today. For 93.3, The Ray Gibson Show with Daryl Taggarty and Guahan Insurance Services and the folks at First Hawaiian Bank. I'm Jerry Roberts.
Thank you so much, Jerry.
Yes, sir.
You know, we can go to your website and we can hear back the past presentations.
Not audio. No, we have the transcripts. So if they want to go in and read it up and distribute it to folks and slap it on the bulletin board or whatever they need to do with it.
Actually, I prefer writing. Yeah. I don't want to have to wait until the timing of the audio presentation.
That's
is
old school.
through.
Well, that's kind of way.
Yeah, that's how I grew up, and that's how I can process. Actually, I read much faster than people do.
We read it twice or 3 times as fast as listening to it. So yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Right,
so thank you so much.
Have a good Father's Day?
Yes, I did. Good. I did good, relaxing, and just enjoyed the time with my sons and with my dad.
There you go.
And that's all anyone needs.
That's the way to do it.
Have the time and to sit back and enjoy the day.
Well, you enjoy the rest of this day and have a good one. And I know the folks in the radio land will enjoy listening to you.
Well, I'll be looking forward to seeing your smiling face tomorrow morning as well.
You got it. Take
care. Thank you. Okay. And that's Jerry Roberts with The Extra Point. We have multiple points around here. Kevin's got a point to make. Jerry's got a point to make. Michael's got a point to make. I got a point to make. You've got a point to make. And you can call us here at 888-8255 and make that point. Or you can come online with us, and as Joe Cruz has done, or Barbara Lita, and they're happy to see, and James Howard complimenting Jerry on his shirt selection for the day. Online, but you can join the conversation on Facebook Live or on the phone at 888-8255. It's 7:25, and in just a few minutes we're going to get back to Kevin and take a look at the headlines and take a look at traffic, so do stay tuned. I wanted to mention this story in the Guam Daily Post about the Ancestral Lands Commission is only just now discovering that since 2002, AT&T hasn't paid rent on the land that was conveyed from the Navy to the government of Guam, and government of Guam stuck it in the inventory, assigned it to the Guam Ancestral Lands Commission, and it just seems to me that AT&T should have had lease terms with the Navy, and in the lease, which would not have been like a private document, but would have been something turned over to the Ancestral Lands Commission, should have looked like a big check. It should have a succession clause that would put AT&T on notice that payments to the Navy would continue to the new owner when the ownership changed hands. Whoever was assigned to Guam Ancestral Lands Commission over the years was not doing his or her job. It should have looked like a big check, and all you needed to do was write the letter to say, please send your lease payments to this address. But it didn't happen. Somebody was sleeping at the switch and drawing paycheck at the same time. It's a great example of ineptitude. And I'm accusing every successive director, it's land management, right, with failure to discover and address this issue, including making the needed changes to the rules and regulations. It's 2019. That it should take us 17 years. It'd be 17 years of people on the job responsible for just this little niche of the government of Guam, pulling down a salary, going in day after day to do this work, and not seeing this. I mean, I remember walking by that place when they were digging the hole to put that facility in and dragging the first cable up ashore. I just lived right close by. And when they turned over the property in 2002, it was in the newspapers. So we all knew that that facility had gone over to Ancestral Lands Commission and not to the original landowners, because it was still an active facility. But nobody thought to take a look at what AT&T was paying the Navy and sending AT&T a letter saying, oh, by the way, guys, continue to send your checks over here. I can't. I'm having a hard time understanding that. I'm just having a hard time understanding that. We're better than that. We really are. We don't want to dwell on this too long, so I'll say something about it right now, and that is Senator Will Castro has a plan to address overpopulation and lack of funding in Guam's prisons and jails. But it seems to raise more questions than it does. I mean, it shows that he has a fertile mind, but it doesn't show that he's actually talked to anyone else about it because of jurisdictional issues and equity and cost and so many questions come to mind. And by the end of the article, it shows that it was it's an initiative that has a lot more work that needs to be done on it before it's ready for prime time. And so, sorry, but I don't want to read this stuff. I don't want to be led around by the nose. It's time now for headlines from the Guam Daily Post with Kevin Kerrigan.
Half a day and good morning, Guam. In the headlines from the Guam Daily Post this morning, the Guam Visitors Bureau Board of Directors approving $93,640 in travel expenses during last Thursday's board meeting. The funding will cover two separate trips. One trip includes a 14-member delegation that'll travel to Japan in early July. The exact travel dates haven't been set yet. The proposed delegation includes the governor, the GVB board chairman and GVB president, a representative from the legislature, and various staff members from the governor's office and GVB. This would be the first official introduction of Guam's new leadership to key travel and GovGuam partners in Japan. The estimated cost for that trip, about $54,000. The other overseas travel approved by the board is a visit to Washington, D.C. Guam delegate Michael San Nicolas has invited GVB to send a delegation to take part in a special series of 75th Guam Liberation Celebration activities that he is planning from July 12th to 18th in Washington. The 8-person delegation would include GVB's Cultural and Heritage Committee Chairwoman and Cultural Heritage Officer, the Guam Liberation Queen, and a small dance group. The price tag on that trip, $39,649. Governor's office has withdrawn Ray Tapasna's name as a nominee to the Guam Regional Transit Authority Board of Directors. Tapasna is currently serving as the director of the Guam Housing and Urban Renewal Authority. Earlier this year, the governor nominated him to sit on the GRTA board because of his previous experience with that agency. However, the governor's spokeswoman, Janela Carrera, told the Guam Daily Post Friday that following a discussion between the governor and Tapasna, they concluded that serving as a board member is a major responsibility, and it was decided that it would be better for Tapasna to focus all his efforts on his responsibilities at GURA instead. In April, the Guam Daily Post did ask Tapasna about the potential conflict of the GURA director doubling as a board member at GRTA. Tapasna then provided the Post with a legal opinion issued by GURA legal counsel Anthony Perez, who said he was not aware of any specific conflict of interest that may exist. Autopsies on Guam are currently being conducted by acting medical examiner Dr. Philip Duderman. The chief medical examiner's office has not had a permanent medical examiner since the retirement of Dr. Aurelio Espinola earlier this year. Espinola served as the chief ME for Guam and the CNMI for the past 25 years. Duderman is a pathologist and the lab director at the Commonwealth Healthcare Corporation in the CNMI. Duderman recently completed an autopsy on a 70-year-old woman identified as Sachiko Caseda. She died May 26 at 8 Pao Beach. Her cause of death was listed as drowning. An autopsy also completed on a 60-year-old man who died beachside near the Pacific Star. His cause of death listed as drowning as well. The attorney generals on Guam and in the CNMI are collaborating in a search for a permanent forensic pathologist to serve for the CNMI and Guam. For these stories and more, log on to postguam.com or pick up a copy of today's Guam Daily Post.
93.3 The Point News Time is 7:33.
That's iConnect time. Go to iConnect and learn about some great plans and packages to ease and make simpler and make cheaper your telecommunication lifestyle in 2019. Call them at 888-8888.
Hey, it's Mom. Somebody forgot to thaw the chicken, so meet us at Chili's for 2 for $25. Oh, and congratulate your sister for making the basketball team. She's thrilled. Love you. See you at Chili's.
Enjoy 2 full meal combos for $25. An appetizer, 2 mouth-watering entrees like our crispy chicken breast, smoked barbecue quarter leg, or smoked jalapeno cheddar sausage. Served with corn on the cob and french fries. 2 bold combos for $25. A full-on meal deal available nightly for a limited time. Together, we Chili's.
And take a look at our traffic today. Right now, traffic, we've got the a bit of a buildup at the back gate of Anderson, and at around Fatima Road and Marine Drive, a little bit near GRMC intersection, and just a little bit at the Tri intersection on your way in, but otherwise it looks pretty good. A little bit down in Agana, and at the front gate of Naval Station. And that's right now traffic here on The Point.
2-for-1 dinner time is back at Ruby Tuesday Guam. That's 2 fresh garden bars, 2 tasty entrees, and a sweet dessert to share for just $25.99. 2-for-1 dinner time for a limited time at Ruby Tuesday Guam.
Family Finance has been serving the people of Guam since 1959, and they'll continue to be there for you in the years to come. Whether you're looking to get a personal loan for that summer vacation or paying off those long overdue bills, Family Finance has got you covered. Apply for a personal loan from $1,000 up to $3,600 by calling Family Finance in Agutya at 475-4545, Upper Tumon at 647-5626, or in Dededo, 633-4473. Family Finance, serving the people of Guam since 1959.
And welcome back to The Point, the Ray Gibson Show. I'm Darrell Taggarty, sitting in for the vacationing Ray Gibson. And we'll be here, I'll be here with you all week. So do stay tuned, and we'll find out what's going on as Kevin Kerrigan brings us the news from the Guam Daily Post, and we talk about what's going on together on Guam. I want to thank Kevin. Kevin, thank you so much for your article on page 5 of today's Guam Daily Post. Gambling operator says no illegal business. Now, do you ever take a day off?
Yeah.
You know, this is great behind the scenes understanding of what's going on in that place. We don't walk in there, but apparently you did.
Yeah, we swung by on Friday afternoon to check it out, and you know, there weren't too many people in there on Friday. There was about a half dozen or so gamblers. You know,
but you're our eyes and ears. You know, you're a member of the free press, and you know, constitutionally protected, and your place in the world, in the American world, our daily lives is justified having stories like this.
But of course, anybody can walk in and check it out. You know, it is as long as you're 21 or older.
Yes, but you're walking in with the purpose of letting the rest of us see just what goes on in there without us having to individually go down. We're all concerned. You know, we voted how many years ago not to have something like this?
On multiple occasions.
Yes,
no? Yeah.
and so now we have just in the last 6 months, we've got a change of law and regulations in effect, and they're open for business. Like Shazam, can everything else go like this on the island? You know, despite the law, you know, I mean, this is an example of how fast the government of Guam can move when it wants to.
Of course, they're hoping to raise enough funds to pay for all the liberation activities. The past 2 years have been kind of tough for them.
Are they going to pay back bills with it?
No, I think they're going to pay current bills, you know, fireworks and the Liberation Parade and all the rest of that. So.
You know, I always had a question about why did we have to have a carnival at all? You know, but you know, because they keep saying, we have these expenses for the carnival. But of course, we know we have expenses for the parade and for the fireworks. But they never broke it down and said, well, if we don't have a carnival, we only have to raise $220,000 or something like that, right? We never had that option. So actually, the whole justification for the gambling being reinstituted is half of the money they said they needed. Or you know, perhaps you can dig this out. It must have been mentioned somewhere.
Well, I'm just thinking tradition. You know, it's been tradition for so long, so that's why the carnival exists.
Tradition?
Yeah.
You know, I remember going to the carnival as a 10, 12-year-old. Sure, but I don't think it's tradition because people don't go to carnivals as much anymore. You know, it's not a theme park, and they haven't.
So it's a dying tradition, you think? People are less and less interested in it, perhaps?
Well, it's an entertainment, and it's in the scheme of entertainment things.
Yeah.
Not so much. It's not as competitive as it used to be, and it should be more competitive. Back in 1964, there wasn't a whole lot to do. We looked forward to the carnival every year.
Right.
We had one television station, you know, and one radio station. And so, yeah, having a carnival and having the parade was great. And we still do the parade.
Yeah, now there's so many other distractions, I suppose.
Well, entertainment.
Yeah.
You know, we entertain ourselves differently these days than going to the carnival.
Yeah, computer screens and Netflix.
Just go to the mall, you know, walk around.
Sure.
You know, we still have our parties. I don't think it rises to the level of importance as a tradition. Especially you don't have something that's commercial, a tradition. It is simply a way to raise money. And here we are taking a look at this article about how the inside of a gambling operation, and I guess you'll have to just go back in there when the place is jumping, when it's standing room only and the line outside the door of people waiting to get in because they just can't wait to raise money. I mean, you know, did you do this with cockfighting?
I haven't been up there, but others have, yeah. So it's worth checking out.
Yeah, go spin. Oh, you don't have to yourself go to the cage, and I understand why the Revenue tax employees wouldn't want to give their names or say anything because you know that's not what they're there for. But you did confirm that there were two on duty.
That's right, and they closed the door on me.
Well, yeah, but at least you confirmed they're there. That's all we needed. You know, yes, there are people there, keeping an eye on things, and you didn't bring a. You didn't bring a photographer with you, did you?
Yes, Norman came along with us, and he took the shots.
So this is a current shot?
Yes.
Okay, good. Well, thank you. That caught my eye, and there was another one today that caught my eye. It was just straight up information that we need to process information. Well, the story about the GVB board, spending $93,640, approving that amount, and they also approved the bathrooms to be cleaned up. It's about roughly the same amount. We're talking about, okay, let's go introduce ourselves. Not like we're not going to be able to introduce ourselves the next time we have to do something, up there, like a big promotional thing that we're going to fly up there, up to Japan to do. No, we're going to fly up there just to introduce ourselves and spend $54,000. That's half the money for a quarter of keeping all the bathrooms clean. So 8 weeks, 6 weeks of keeping bathrooms clean. And so, that's what the GVB is supposed to do. It's supposed to weigh the relative importance of these things. But this is pretty much a routine expenditure. It's not the kind of expenditure that is really totally new. Let's think strongly about whether we need to spend this money to go introduce ourselves to folks up in Japan who are running who are the movers and shakers in the tourism industry, sending tourists to us. If there were no meetings, all it is a meet and greet. $53,000, $54,000, versus how many years did it take for them to actually come to grips with having to have real live attendance at the public restrooms where our tourists are seeking to relieve themselves, and developing images of the island while they're dancing around in front of a locked door or filthy facilities or unstocked or non-working or whatever the deal is. I'm glad that they're dealing with it now. And the money going for the folks, the 8-person delegation to go to D.C. and or to wherever it is that our delegate has asked for folks to come from Guam. I hope it's not San Diego, but it might be. The article doesn't say. But I just to send folks over, we need to have a profile in early July in D.C. before people leave for the summer recess. Folks up on Capitol Hill, and we need to have that. We need to have a profile. I used to work on Hill, and we used to have to find ways to fly the flag. All the other states do it. They have their state promotions. We grow corn, we raise pigs, we've got the best tobacco in town. We've got all these promotions by states. Remember us. Here's Kentucky whiskey. They really put their best foot forward, and we need to do that too. So that's why we need to send folks out to dance and remind them that we're out here. Now the stories by Jerry Partito about the locking of horns between our congressman and the former congresswoman and our current governor. I'm just going to sit back and watch that action. It's almost like it's like our spectator sport, our watching people at work. It's interesting to me because I've met all these people. And I know their moves, and I know what I can read between the lines here and kind of see what they're doing. And the reports are very good. Jerry's reports on getting the story from each of them and kind of laying out, painting the picture for us to see the stage and sort of what's being said. Yeah, we need to have this. It's great, but it's really up to the colleagues in the majority in the Congress and the majority in the Senate. And I'm just mystified about the part where the former delegate said it's going to die in committee. And we have the current delegate saying, I've reached out and gotten the support of the minority. And this is on the House side. He needs the support of the majority on the Senate side, which is Republican. happens to be Republican, and he needs the support of the majority on the House side, which happens to be Democrat. But he's secured the support of the minority on the House side, which may, in my estimation, tick off the majority, his colleagues of his same party on the House side. And so I can see where the former delegate is casting a jaundiced eye at the current delegate and calling him out for snubbing the governor's latest visit, accompanied by her current representative, executive branch, Guam government executive branch representative in Washington, D.C., snubbing them in his office for whatever the reason. Whatever the reason. I can't imagine anything being so important that there would be a scheduled stop and he wouldn't even attend in his own office. I just don't see it. It happened to me once when I was seeking confirmation for a cabinet post under the previous administration. And I was going around making calls on all the senators to give them a chance to tell me why I should or should not have the post before we had the hearing. And so I could address their concerns or, understand their point of view. And the senator who is now the current congressman, 4 times I went to his office and he was there and he would not meet with me. And that's okay. That's his prerogative, But I just see a common attitude with our other leaders that where he's not coming up with time to meet with them. And so, my goodness. Interesting to watch. Not a lot of substance here. And the casualty of this is going to be whatever initiatives we're trying to get through the Congress. Because once the administration or the congressional leadership, either in the House or the Senate, smells division on the part of Guam's leaders, we're not together, the legislature doesn't agree with the executive at Adelup, or either of them do not agree with the delegate in D.C., whatever we initiate will not move forward. They will not get involved in something where it is. They don't have to. They don't have to. They don't have to get involved with something that we don't agree with internally. And so that's been going on for going back to the time when our delegate first seated in January of 1973. And apparently, the current delegate hasn't gotten that memo, or his staff. He and his staff did not research this and find that this was the one imperative to moving forward. You may not be able to stand the smell of the person sitting next to you, but if that person was elected by the people of Guam, as you were, you gotta act lovey-dovey in front of the rest of in front of the rest of the colleagues on Capitol Hill in order to advance anything on our agenda. Or it's just all dance and it's just another cultural dance. Yeah, they know we're here, but they don't have to spend any money on us. They don't have to give us any increased authority. They don't have to give us what we're asking for. They don't even really have to give us the time of day. And that's happened years over the years. Our most important initiatives have been shot down at the congressional level, at the committee level, because of the lack of unity on the part of the elected leaders of Guam on anything that be put before the Congress. Okay, enough banging the drum on that one. But that's on these stories, and then more will come out. This is an ongoing. It's a relationship, And if that relationship is not going to improve, we're going to hear about it when we read the Guam Daily Post. We're going to hear about it on talk radio. We're going to hear about it wherever. We're going to hear about it in interviews of these leading politicians. And we just have to understand what that background is and what the value is. And so we're what else do we have here? What else do we have here? Taking a look at what's going on in the well, we're going to take a look at sports next hour. So I'm not going to get into sports, but there's an interesting sports comment in the paper today. And so Blake will be here next hour with sports, and we'll be keeping you apprised of anything happening in the news. I mentioned about the $101,000 purchase order to maintain 15 public restrooms. It's a story on page 6 of today's Guam Daily Post. And it's great. You know, we finally know just how much it takes to keep our bathrooms in something of presentable condition for our guests and also for ourselves. This is one of the ways that tourism pays off for all of us. You know, it benefits all of us. We should have clean bathrooms at our own parks when we go to the park. And if it takes GVB or the Parks and Recreation, whoever is gathering tax money for public purposes, if it takes whoever to put somebody there to make sure the place is clean, maintained, stocked with toilet paper, then okay, then that's what we get. That's why tax monies are paid, whether it's for us or for our guests. And we should have a clean bathroom for our guests and for ourselves when we need it, so we can go to and enjoy our parks. And as a family, however we go to the parks. And so I'm happy to see that. But my question after reading this story is, how will the people who are assigned to each of those bathrooms handle the threat of vandalism or theft of someone walking in and walking out with a sink, or with the toilet paper, or vandalizing the place? Not unintentionally dirtying the place, but vandalizing it purposely, especially knowing that somebody's going to go clean it up. How are they going to be able to handle it? Are they equipped? Are they deputized? And be interesting to, let's see, what do we have here?
Real quick, I got a bit of a traffic situation. Jerry was on his way through town and called me back. Got an accident northbound on Route 1 right there by the Shell station, the Burger King, east of Ganya, and it looks like it's got at least one lane blocked off, maybe two. The backup now well past into downtown. I got the Bank of Hawaii and all that, and continuing to build up pretty quickly. So if you're making your way in, some alternate routes, good luck and find that alternate route. I don't really know of one. Gosh, I guess what you could scoot up through Mongmong Toto Mighty if you can hit it past Aganya, but you're already into traffic by then. So good luck to you there. Again, northbound Route 1, there's a crash near the Shell station in East Aganya, and back all the way to Paseo.
Thank you very much, Jerry. Actually, on the traffic gizmo, it shows that traffic is backed up in East Aganya from about where the Shell station is back towards Route 8 intersection. It is stuck. It is stopped. Nobody's moving. And so if you've got to go that way, by all means, take an alternate route. On the traffic gizmo, it doesn't admit to having the airport bypass into Toto, but if you can, well, that's one lane, but it's kind of hard to replace Marine Drive, but someday we will do that. Whether it happens before the road gets swamped with rising seawaters or not, I guess we've got plenty of time for that. But right now, yes, indeed. Thank you very much, Jerry. The traffic is backed up in East Aganya. And so right now, traffic, augmented by your phone calls, to us here at the station, 888-8255. Jerry happened to call first, but you also can do so and help keep us apprised and all of your fellow listeners apprised of what's going on the streets of Guam. And so it's 7:56. If you are supposed to be work at 8, thank you very much for joining us this morning so far, and have a very, very good day. I'll be with you for another hour here on The Point, and we'll be, as I sit in for Ray Gibson this morning and all this week. Stay tuned. We've got Fox News coming up at 8 o'clock, and then we'll have headlines with Kevin Kerrigan, and we will be taking a look again at what's going on in the community and waiting for your phone calls at 888-8255 here on The Point. And how do I do this? Have Ray Gibson's level of energy for the amount of time it takes to do this show.
No, so you don't understand. Ray Gibson's brain is on crack. I mean, not literally, but
it's
some people just have that energy, and he just does. I've thought about it myself because I could not do a morning talk show. As you can tell, I'm just a little too laid back for that, man. Even at this time, after 3 cups of coffee, this is me. This is the best you get out of me. This is about all the energy I can muster up. His brain is different. You have those kinds of people that are like that. Their brains are just bang, 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 and he can pull that off. So we can't be like him. We can just try to fill in for him.
Well, that is what I'm doing. I am not him. I am not like him. I like him, but I'm not like him. I was reminded by my sister-in-law yesterday of Ray Gibson's morning persona, Chicken Man.
Oh, that's a new one on me. Yeah.
Oh, this goes back to Radio 100. Mm-hmm. My sister-in-law lives in D.C. now, and she's been off island for years. She left with Continental when they moved to Houston, moved the Guam personnel to Houston. She moved, and she said, "Oh, is he still with Hit Radio 100 doing Chicken Man?" And I said, "No, but wow, it's been a long time ago."
Yeah, it's a funny thing because for all the listeners listening in right now, they know Ray in a different way than I do. Look, I just got here a couple of years ago. I had no idea who Ray Gibson was and don't care. And so, that's all fine because I've been doing this a while too. And it was, kind of interesting listening to people talk about his career in the past and other things. And of course, doing radio 40 years, people are going to have listened to quite a bit of your work. So been interesting to hear some of those stories. I'm still looking forward to actually hearing some air checks from his past work.
He should bring some of those in. That's great. I collect my air checks. But he was Chicken Man, and I met him actually after I met his father. His father knew me since I was about 10 years old, and then I met him as a radio person in '82 when I came back from the States. And so here I am this morning. It's 7:59 and time for Fox News here on The Point.
You're listening to KUSG Aganya.
Purging pollsters. I'm Steve Rappaport, Fox News. A top Trump advisor tells the New York Times the campaign is cutting ties with some pollsters after a leak of internal surveys that showed the president trailing Democratic frontrunner Joe Biden in key battleground states. The president last week denied those polls existed. Meanwhile, in the latest Fox News poll,
Joe Biden again in the lead at 32%, holding on to his place since May. Bernie Sanders, though, had a pretty significant drop in support, down 10 points since March. Warren, Buttigieg, and Harris are slightly behind him. The poll also measured the president's approval rating, with the majority, 53% of respondents, saying that they disapprove of the job that he's doing, 45% approving.
Fox's Jackie Heinrich. The White House continuing to make the case that Iran was behind 2 suspected attacks on oil tankers near the Strait of Hormuz.
We have high confidence with respect to who conducted these attacks, as well as a half a dozen other attacks throughout the world over the past 40 days.
Secretary of State Mike Pompeo on Fox News Sunday, adding the U.S. has lots of evidence and lots of data pointing to Iran.
He did not lay out that evidence, but said eventually the public, the world, would be able to see a lot of it. The U.S. already released surveillance video a couple of days ago. The U.S. says it shows Iranian sailors removing an unexploded mine from one of the tankers.
Fox's Ellison Barber in Washington, Iran rejecting blame for the attacks. Britain and Saudi Arabia also suspect Tehran's involvement. More protests in Hong Kong over a controversial bill that would allow criminal suspects to be extradited to mainland China.
Leaders of the Civil Human Rights Front estimate close to 2 million people marched on Sunday, rejecting an apology from Hong Kong's top official, Chief Executive Carrie Lam. The protesters, mostly wearing all black, filled the streets for a second straight Sunday, not only demanding an end to the extradition bill, but that Lam step down.
Fox's Jeff Paul. This is Fox News.
Hey, welcome to this Subway ad for the new club collection. How do you want it? I'll take a book club. Absolutely.
So, last week we sunk our teeth into Subway's meaty new release, the Steak Club.
I didn't finish it yet.
Oh, not again, Sandra. This week, it's the new Southwest Chicken Club, also by Subway. No spoilers, but there's a tasty twist.
Jalapeno cheddar bread and guacamole?
Sandra, get out. Subway, make it what you want.
Good ending.
Limited time only at participating restaurants.
Liberate your mind with laughter. Budweiser presents Hypnosis Comedy coming to Guam Liberation Weekend.
Half a day, Guam. I am comedian hypnotist Rich Guzzi, and I can't wait to see you July 20th and 22nd at the Sheraton Laguna Hotel.
With local comedy legend Frank Rios opening the show. $25 general admission, $35 for VIPs. Tickets on sale at 76 Circle K stations and at Coffee Slut. Special thanks to Community First, the Guam Daily Post, Delta Tires, Tri-Vision, and Choice Broadcasting.
You will have the time of your life.
Liberate your mind with laughter is a GSPN production.
Opinion.
A massive, unexplained power failure leaving tens of millions of people without electricity across South America. Argentina got the worst of it, with public transportation shut down, shops closed, and hospitals running on generators, at least the ones that had them. Voters used light from their cell phones to fill out ballots in a gubernatorial election. Argentina's president calling the power grid failure unprecedented. We have Trump Tower, Trump hotels, and even Trump golf courses. But Israel is going one step further with Trump Town.
Trump Heights is a new Jewish settlement in the disputed Golan Heights. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu honoring President Trump for recognizing Israel's sovereignty over the area. U.S. Ambassador to Israel David Friedman was at the ceremony Sunday.
I think President Trump will be honored to be in that small cadre of heroes, of Israeli heroes.
Critics are calling it a publicity stunt, and right now Trump Heights is just a sign featuring the American and Israeli flags and, of course, gold trim and lettering. Jane Fergus, Fox News.
A big bid for a piece of the Big Bambino.
The immortal star himself, Babe Ruth. The Bambino is still the game's greatest showman.
Babe Ruth still breaking records. This time it was the sale of his road jersey dating back to 1928. His family putting it up for auction Saturday. It went for about $5.6 million, making it the most expensive piece of sports memorabilia ever. The auction held at Yankee Stadium. No word yet on who the buyer is. Ruth's granddaughter says some of that money goes to charity. The Bambino still considered one of the all-time greats. He was a 12-time American League home run leader and was one of the very first players to be inducted into the Baseball Hall of Fame. Jill Nato, Fox News.
And I'm Steve Rappaport. This is Fox News.
We know too well the inconvenience of not having power after a storm. You worry about food in the freezer going bad. Nights get hot. It's hard finding comfort when going to sleep. These are realities. But with solar and battery storage from Micronesia Renewable Energy, these realities can be a thing of the past. The solar works during the day and the batteries power your home at night. Call 632-2613 to see how solar plus battery storage can make life a little more convenient. MRE. The smarter choice.
2-for-1 dinner time is back at Ruby Tuesday Guam. That's 2 fresh garden bars, 2 tasty entrees, and a sweet dessert to share for just $25.99. 2-for-1 dinner time for limited time at Ruby Tuesday Guam.
Here at APL, our core values give the company its heart and soul. Whether it's connecting your business with our global network through our newly enhanced service or investing our efforts into giving back to the community, APL is committed to serving you. We humbly honor the opportunity to find innovative solutions for you and your business. To learn more about our enhanced service, call 588-4651 or visit www.apl.com/Guam for more details.
In illness and in wellness, Calvo's Select Care is health care that is there for you. That's why over 80% of the Guam medical community places their trust and insures with us. We offer our members wellness and fitness programs for a healthier lifestyle and provide a comprehensive medical network on and off island to help members from unexpected illnesses. Contact Calvo's Select Care today for more information.
Half a day and good morning, Guam. News time here at The Point is 7 minutes past 8 a.m. this Monday morning. I'm Kevin Kerrigan. Here's a look now at some of the top stories from the Guam Daily Post. Telecommunications giant AT&T owes about $5.7 million in back rent to the Guam Ancestral Lands Commission on property at Tangisan Point in Dedido. That, according to a letter sent to AT&T by the Guam Economic Development Authority Real Property Division Manager Larry Toves. Tangisan Point is the landing station for several undersea cable lines. AT&T initially had a lease for the Tangisan property with the Navy. However, the property was transferred to GovGuam by the federal government in 2002 by a quitclaim deed. AT&T's lease expired in 2006, but the company failed to renew it, according to Toves' letter to AT&T area manager Linda Rankin. The Ancestral Lands Commission, with the help of GITA, is now pursuing a new lease agreement with AT&T for further use of the property. Toves updated Ancestral Land Commissioners on the lease issue during a June 5th meeting. He said the letter and invoices for back rent were sent to AT&T in May. Toves said Rankin responded by saying AT&T is eager to discuss the continued use of that Tangisan property. Guam Visitors Bureau Board of Directors approved $93,640 in travel expenses during last Thursday's board meeting. The funding will cover two separate trips. One trip includes a 14-member delegation that'll travel to Japan in early July. The exact travel dates have not been set. The proposed delegation includes the governor, the GVB board chairman, and GVB resident, a representative from the legislature, and various staff members from the governor's office and GVB. This would be the first official introduction of Guam's new leadership to key travel and GovGuam partners in Japan. The estimated cost of that trip, about $54,000. The other overseas travel approved by the board last Thursday is a visit to Washington, D.C. Guam delegate Michael San Nicolas has invited GVB to send a delegation to take part in 75th Guam Liberation Celebration activities that he's planning from July 12th to the 18th. The 8-person delegation would include GVB's Cultural and Heritage Committee Chairwoman and Cultural Heritage Officer, the Guam Liberation Queen, and a small dance troupe. The price tag on that trip, $39,649. We'll have more news after this.
Security Title is honored to join in sponsoring Ray Gibson on The Point. Half a day. I'm Mark Benventi of Santa Rita, and this is where I start my day, listening to the voice of our community and sharing thoughts and issues that affect us all. It all boils down to our people, our land. Protei Igumamo. Protect your home. When purchasing or refinancing your home, remember to call the professionals at Security Title, just like you call Ray Gibson in the morning.
KFC has finally answered the world's most important question. What came first, the chicken or the egg? And the answer is both. Introducing KFC's KFC AM, their new Southern and local-inspired breakfast. AM-loaded platter with chicken fried rice, waffles, and Colonel's chicken congee. KFC also has your all-time favorites, AM chicken and egg wraps, Southern biscuit and sausage sandwich, and hash browns. So for finger-licking good mornings, AM will never be the same at KFC. KFC, it's finger-licking good.
News time here at The Point is 10 minutes past 8 a.m. Access to the Menengan Memorial Site this year is now certain after the family involved in a property dispute with GovGuam decided to drop their threat of blocking access. However, Mark Colby, the son of one of the Mesa siblings who inherited property in the area, said access won't be granted without something in return. Colby said the argument over the spot where the monument lies is debatable still, and it could take years to settle it. However, he said the government now acknowledges that the road leading into the memorial and the property surrounding it does belong to the Mesa family. Gov Guam has promised to survey the properties, and they will discuss further arrangements at a later time. Colby says his mother and her siblings inherited the property from their mother, Virginia Baza Mesa. They initially claimed the land that the memorial sits on is theirs as well. Public Law 27-97 leased the lot to the Menengan Memorial Foundation specifically for the purpose of building a memorial on that site. Willie Flores of the foundation said the organization respects the family's concerns, but he maintains the memorial lies on Gov Guam property. Joint Region Marianas Commander Rear Admiral Shoshana Chatfield has been named president of the U.S. Naval War College. Secretary of the Navy Richard Spencer made the announcement on Friday. In his announcements, Secretary Spencer called Chatfield an historic choice for the Naval War College. He said she is the embodiment of the type of warrior scholar the Navy needs to lead the War College as it implements a culture of continuous learning in the naval services. For these stories and more, log on to postguam.com or pick up a copy of today's Guam Daily Post. Daryl and Mike now take a look at our weather.
Well, beautiful skies greeted you this morning. A little bit of rain, and that's the rain that we've needed. And we're expecting more dry trade wind weather continuing through most of this upcoming week. Right?
Yeah, that's right. Absolutely. We still really haven't made the transition into the rainy season yet, but hopefully that'll take place in the next 30 days or so. Check it out, radar, real quick. We'll take a look here, and we see that showers did move across a couple of hours ago. Now things are drying out. Again, I talked about the diurnal cycle, and we're kind of at that transitional stage. Right now, the atmosphere is actually pretty stable, so you don't see a whole lot out there, but as the heat kicks up things, things will start to pop up once again. Don't see a whole lot upstream, though, and we can confirm this by checking out the satellite picture, and we'll scroll down there and see about getting Guam in the pointer. There we go. And looking at the satellite here, we can see just not a whole lot in terms of large-scale moisture coming our way. Nice, steady east-northeasterly trade wind flow. Do have a bit of a tropical disturbance down to our southwest, down there around, well, just to the east of Yap and Palau. 94W Invest is what they're calling that. It will not develop into anything and certainly won't affect us in any sort of way. Have some other blobbage kind of off to the east. I'm going to show you this one. This one is actually something that I was looking at last week. This blobbage all the way on the far right of the screen down there.
Yep.
Not a designated system, but actually the GFS computer forecast model picking up on that and turning it into a system sometime late next week. I don't think that's really going to happen, but we'll see. They did a recent update on the algorithm of the GFS computer model, so now we get to see if it actually is going to be better than it was at one point in time. Anyway, the long and short of it for today, if you get a shower, you're lucky, and enjoy the sunshine and nice winds.
The way the National Weather Service puts it, as partly cloudy today with isolated showers, east winds 10 to 15 miles per hour, decreasing to 5 to 10 miles per hour after sunset. Highs around 90, lows around 79. Sunrise this morning was at 5:54, should be about the same for tomorrow, and sunset this evening at 6:49. And that's our weather for today.
If you're driving, chances are you'll need gas soon. And by the growl in your tummy, a trip to the grocery store too. But don't just buy gas and groceries without getting double miles. Instead, apply for the new United credit card from First Hawaiian Bank and start earning double miles towards your next trip. Gas, groceries, getaway. With the new United credit card, apply at FHB.com. First Hawaiian Bank, member FDIC. Equal housing lender. Additional terms, conditions, and restrictions apply.
Portions of the Ray Gibson Show brought to you by my friends over at Ruby Tuesdays. A 2-for-1 deal is the big deal now, and that means that you and a friend can go in there and eat simultaneously. And both of you not going to pay any more than about $25.99. You follow this package here. Open bar, that's the Endless Garden Bar, and then you guys decide on which of the available entrees that you're going to get. Now, I'm already shotgun on the ribs. I'll tell you that right now. I'm shotgun on the ribs. You can get ribs as well. but you can also get tilapia and sirloin steak and chicken fresco. And then, we'll share a dessert. 2 for $1, dinner time, $25.99 at Ruby Tuesdays. Ray Gibson Show also brought to you by APL, American President Lines is shipping the future, and Micronesia Renewable Energy. There's never been a better time to go solar.
So what's the deal? Are you still paying for the right to have your checking account at your bank? Well, at Bank Pacific, we think it's our privilege, not our right. That's why we offer My Green Free Checking, where your monthly maintenance checking fees are zero. That's zero. And it comes with a free Visa check card and monthly green e-statements. My Green Free Checking. Bank Pacific today. Because having you as our customer, that's our privilege.
Bank Pacific, where others put branches, we place roots.
Equal housing lender, FDIC, Viva Bank Pacific.
I love the way they're made. Like, everything old is new again, right? So you go to Cars Plus and check them out because they've got these Dodge Chargers, right? Updated for the 1.9, if you know what I mean. You're going to love the price. You're going to love all the technology that they've loaded up into the inside of it, and you'll like the fact that it still pretty much looks like old school Charger. Need a Challenger? You asked me, the Challenger was a ride. I think we used to have one of those in the garage once upon a time. And if not, I coveted one. The Dodge Challenger for 2018 is out there and available for you right now at Cars Plus. Swing by Cars Plus, check them out. Security Title brings you portions of the program. For those of you that are wondering about the title on the property that you've got your eye on, they know how to figure all that stuff out and whether there's any bad karma on it. And, of course, we're also brought to you by Take Care Insurance.
The Coconut Wireless is back. The Ray Gibson Show. Call now, 888-TALK. That's 888-8255.
And welcome back to the Ray Gibson Show. I'm Gerald Taggarty, sitting in for Ray Gibson this morning and all this week. Thank you for tuning in and enjoying the program. We've got Blake with us. We're going to start talking about sports in a moment, but I just wanted to remind everyone that there is a major traffic jam down in East Agania, and that is because of Kevin?
Well, we just sent a picture to Mike. Maybe we can post it up there. That's showing the backup.
The WhatsApp, yeah.
Yeah. I know you don't have WhatsApp.
He's got the WhatsApp.
Yep.
And we I'll see if I can find. Come on now.
It's on the northbound lane.
On the gizmo, on a traffic gizmo. Yeah.
Same place where there was a serious accident a couple of months back too. A woman died in that accident. I don't know. Hopefully, there's no serious injury in this one.
Yeah, but it does. When there is an accident, a serious accident, then the police will stop the traffic, and you can't get through until their investigation is done. So, I somewhere along the line, let's see, traffic gizmo. I'll see if I can get a fresh read on this, and it says yes, indeed, all the way. Well, actually, about from where Auto Spot all the way up to the Shell station on northbound.
So it happened right there in that little corridor between Foodies and Auto Spot. It's not pretty. I wonder if it was, it's really dangerous there. When people try to U-turn or sometimes they pull out, and just try to sneak in. So I wonder, and it's very highly trafficked at this time of the morning. So
right.
So I could see how it's a clogged artery, a major artery of the roadways.
And so right now, traffic report. Yes, there is still a major stoppage, traffic jam. Down there in East Agania, northbound, just coming out of the intersection of Marine Drive and Route 8. So if you can avoid that, please do. Elsewhere, we're looking good. A little bit of congestion up by GRMC, but elsewhere, things moving fine, just fine.
The one thing I got to request, would somebody please say sports with Blake?
We're going to pretend to talk about sports with Blake.
That's good enough for me.
So, Blake, what do we have going on? It's been a whole weekend, and so you've got to have a whole lot of stuff for us.
I do, actually. There was always a couple days' worth of stuff over the weekend. We've talked about this on the program before because there is summer football. It is Guam, after all. The Bud Light Guam Women's Tackle Football League, as they are wrapping up. That's right. The playoffs were this past weekend. There's only four. Let's see, what did I say? 4 teams, right? There's only 4 teams. So everybody made the playoffs. And kind of a reiteration, kind of a rematch from last weekend, as the Steel Blazing Saints took on the 7-time. So the league has been in existence for 7 years. This is its 8th year. And Team Legacy has been the champion 7 years in a row.
Wow.
Just letting you know
quite
that.
a run.
Yeah.
Sounds like the Patriots.
I know, right? And they're going back to the championship because it's win or go home. They beat the Steel Blazing Saints in the early game on Saturday, 24-0. That happened over at the UOG Field in Mingilao. And in the afternoon game, the Island Stunners did their job. They punched their ticket. They defeat the Sindalu Raiders. That game a little closer, 18-6, and that will help the Stunners advance to this coming Saturday's game, which is the championship. Team Legacy taking on the Island Stunners. The Raiders and the Saints will probably battle it out for third place for consolation in the early game before that.
How many times is this particular championship matchup taking place in the championship?
I don't know, because Sindalu and the Raiders used to be 2 separate teams.
Okay.
And then the Steel Blazers and the Saints also used to be 2 separate teams. Team Legacy's always been Team Legacy, but there have been some teams come and go, I guess, due to sponsorships. Sure. And like I said, with 7 years, under the belt, there's been some teams that aren't even a part of these kind of conjunction of names that have come and gone. So I don't really know what iteration is out there, but I do know that these teams, the core groups, they know each other. The Island Stunners have been around for a while, and I think they're still one of the originals. So for sure, for sure, Legacy and the Stunners have seen each other several times. It's anybody's game. Stunners, of course, going to look to upset Legacy. Like I said, Legacy has held on to the championship trophy since the league's inception. My friend Helena Garcia had 2 touchdowns in this game. She's really, really fast. And then key defensive players, Paige Serber, Kalani Martinez had 2 interceptions, and that helps as everybody kind of gets a piece of the action. And that's what we had in the Bud Light Guam Women's Tackle Football League first playoff round.
Right on.
Those, ever since I haven't gone out of my way to go find those games, but I've seen some coverage, and I'm impressed by the amount of passion.
Oh, yeah.
It's
well, it's football.
Evident. No, but not. It's not like other football games.
Yeah.
These women's football, they go for it.
Well, they're tough
all the time.
And the thing, I always joke, because I do play-by-play / color commentary, both jobs for the men's league. And I always tell them, I'm like, who's the commissioner? Who gets to decide? Because why do the guys get to play in the cooler weather? Because I think they start in like February. And then the ladies don't start until end of May, which as we know here is the hottest time. But that's usually how it's been. I mean, it's always 7 years they've always played in the heat of the year, really. So maybe that's what it is. Maybe it's just they're a tough bunch, and they bring out fans who want to come out and cheer them on. And it really is a fun atmosphere. People come out. Grill, you can bring some food, just come out and hang out. It's all going down. If you ever go by UOG on Saturdays, it's an all-day event. I think the first game kicks off at like 11. Usually the second game kicks off at 2. So,
really? In the peak of the heat?
Oh, yeah. So
it's just, I was so impressed by the amount of energy and passion in every play. There's no slacking. There's no kind of conserving energy for later in the game or later in the season. It's all out. Every play.
I think it's a fundamental difference between men and women. Men tend to have a more focused emotional state, whereas women are very emotional. I mean, we know this about women. And football is a sport where you must have emotion playing when you play. And so the girls just turn it up a notch in that regard. So they're just much more passionate about actually playing, I think.
It's very entertaining to watch because of that. You can sense the amount of commitment. It's like the difference between watching a regular season NBA game and a playoff game.
Right.
You just see that they are
Or watching the first 3 quarters of an NBA game as opposed to watching the last, 5 minutes, because that's usually when they turn it up and start playing. Unless it's a blowout. But
yeah.
So if you want to see some, Daryl or anybody else, you can go catch the championship ULG Field in Mingilau, Bud Light Guam Women's Tackle Football League, kicking off Saturday, I believe. Elsewhere, I don't think we talked about this Friday. I think I saved it. But we do have kind of a big deal coming up as the Little League World Series kicks up every summer. And, we got to start getting some qualifiers and seeing who, what, when, where, all over the world people are going to come. All the way. Allenstown? Where's it at? Pennsylvania? Williamsport.
Yeah.
So to play in the Little League World Series. The Guam Little League Major Division All-Stars, they're putting their final touches on their squad. They've had 2 months of training. They're preparing to represent Guam at the 2019 Little League Majors Asia Pacific Regional Tournament. I don't know if they're already there. Play will start June 22nd, so I guess that's this weekend. So if they're not there, maybe they're heading off sometime this week. June 22nd through the 26th, they will be going to the Republic of Korea, Hwaseong?
Bless you.
Thank you. And they're going to, that's the 12 years old and under. As they, I guess, they're going to be handling the Asia-Pacific Regional. So we'll see. The winner of the Asia-Pacific Regionals will advance to the Little League Majors World Series in Williamsport, Pennsylvania. That will happen starting on my birthday, August 15th, running through August 25th. Defending champion, South Korea, hosting the Asia-Pacific qualifier where Guam has to play through. So, we'll see.
And so their win will be well-deserved.
Yeah, the perennial favorite, which is South Korea, they made their way all the way to the World Championship game last year, and they lost 3-0 to Hawaii. So there you go. Some pretty big heavy hitters in the region.
Yeah.
Korea, Japan's always good. Of course, Hawaii, always pretty good. So Guam's got their work cut out for them every year in the region. Because, that's the thing about it. It's a tough region, if you're playing like the Eastern European region, you may have a better shot.
Yeah, and I think people will agree in a lot of ways that the Japanese talent in their major league is equal in some cases to much of the talent in the American league.
Otani, comes from when Yu Darvish came to the league, when Otani came to the league, they're arguably the best players going. And they come straight from even back to Chanho Park and Hideo Nomo and all those guys.
Yeah, so you got to get through Japan. Those kids now have they also have a baseball heritage that they can look up to, even going back to the days of Sadaharu Oh. And even, these guys, back to the 70s. So
we even talked about, Babe Ruth went to Japan back in the day. So, there's always been a love and fascination for baseball.
Yeah, baseball heritage in Japan only started, 20 years? 30 years after in the United States.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yeah,
okay.
it's really early.
So
early in the 1900s.
Yeah, because it started late 1800s in the States, so probably around 1900. Probably started in Japan. Yeah, I'm sure you can go back and find pictures, of guys playing from way back then. Kind of like the Philippines did with basketball.
That's right.
They just took it and ran with it.
I was always curious why the Philippines didn't go more towards baseball. Because frankly, and this is going to sound racist, but it's not. But as a people, they're built for baseball. They're fast. They're rather small, and that's what baseball really requires.
Yeah, you look at some of the, Odor, and even one of the best players arguably playing now, Jose Altuve.
That's right.
I want to say he's only a second baseman for the Astros. He's only 5'5", 5'6". He's not a very big guy, but he can still hit home runs and run fast. And I think he was MVP last year.
That's right.
I think at 5'5", 150. He's not a very big guy at all. But. Yeah, interesting. So anyway, cheer them on as they, like I said, will be making their way. The Asia-Pacific region also includes teams from CNMI, Saudi Arabia, Thailand, Indonesia, and the Philippines.
Nice.
So there you go. They will have a team there. Right, I guess we can, this is a quick note before I got to get on up out of here. The Guam Track and Field Association are held their national championships meet over this weekend. There are more to come. I'll get to that in a second, which is why I said holding/held. But Guam High Track and Field is where it went down Saturday evening. Full slate of events from running, jumping, throwing, all the field and the track events got some love. The competitors looking to, they're big names, but it's all kind of steamrolling towards the Pacific Games, which is here in 20 days in American Samoa. The XVI 20 games, what is that, 26?
Mm-hmm. That's what that is, sir. Yes, you are correct.
16. Right, but the, all right, 16, yeah, 16, because it would be 2X, right, if it was a 26, yeah, 16. But big names, because this is, like I said, this is for the Pacific Games, so it's, it's a little bit bigger league than just youth and high school, as Derek Mendel, Regine Tagati, and Jeannie Gerardo all competed. The fastest female in the Marianas, talking about my other friend, Regine Tagati, she made it just in time. She arrived 2 days before, coming from, I believe she's up at the Naval Academy in Annapolis, so she's been training there. So she arrived just 2 days prior to the event. She posted 12.28 and 25.43 in the 100-meter and the 200-meter. Mm-hmm. And that's still after eating her local favorites after her food after not being here for a while. And she's used to running in 60-degree weather. Wow. So she said she was dying. But she said, I've been used to running in 60-degree weather. It's so hot right now, I was dying. It's been so long since I've eaten Kelaguen or red rice. So obviously I had to eat that.
It's our handicapping.
Yeah, so she competed, and there will be another national championship event this coming Friday at JFK. Emphasis on running-only events because the teams are gearing up for the Pacific Games, like I said, in Samoa next month. So these events are aiding in their preparation for the games. Very so nice. That's why you got the big names coming back, because it's basically the Pacific version of the Olympics. So Pacific Games coming up soon. We'll be talking about that too in a month or so.
I know, right?
Yeah, and that's pretty much all I got over the weekend. Yeah, there's Women's World Cup stuff. Team USA beat Chile 3-0. They didn't win 13-0 like they beat Thailand. And then I believe Japan, because I know we got some fans there, they will be kicking off very, very soon somewhere at some time.
Well, I am going to talk a little bit about World Cup and Women's World Cup.
Oh, really?
And, yeah.
Oh,
I know you have to go, but I
do. Also,
otherwise I'd keep you here. And
we can talk about it tomorrow. I will tell you this though. If you got FS1, the local channel FS1, South Korea is kicking off against Norway at some point today, so you can look for that. Any South Korean fans of the women's national team?
Great.
Right on. Cool. All right.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. I'll see you tomorrow.
Yes, we'll see you tomorrow. Thank you. And that's been Sports with Blake.
When it comes to power and performance, nothing compares to Dodge. And right now at Cars Plus in Mighty, you can save thousands on many Dodge vehicles in stock during our Dodge Performance Days. Like a new 2019 Grand Caravan SE, save $4,250, or save $6,150 on a new Durango SXT. Looking for more power? Take home a new Charger SXT Plus today for only $37,689, or save over $7,000 on a new Challenger GT. Get more power and performance at Cars Plus in Mighty during Dodge Performance Days. Cars Plus, driven by you.
32 minutes after 8 o'clock on a beautiful Monday morning. Thank you very much for tuning in. This is the Ray Gibson Show on The Point. I'm Daryl Taggarty, sitting in for the vacationing Ray Gibson. And right now we've got Kevin Kerrigan from the Guam Daily Post with the latest headlines.
Half a day and good morning, Guam. In the headlines from the Guam Daily Post this morning, school bus drivers do not have radios or GovGuam supplied communication devices to contact DPW Central Office if questions or problems arise or in the case of accidents. Department of Public Works Director Vince Areola testifying during a roundtable hearing last Thursday. Hearing was called by Senator Jose Terlaje and Vice Speaker Talina Nelson after a school bus driver forced two elementary school students who'd gotten on the wrong bus off of his bus nowhere near their home. Areola said in cases like that, DPW policy calls for school bus drivers to return the students to their school, or if there is no one available on campus, then the driver is supposed to drop the students off at the mayor's office. Areola said during his review of the incident, he learned there were no communication devices for drivers on board any of the school buses. He said only 50% of drivers had personal cell phones. Areola said DPW is now looking into obtaining communication equipment for the school buses. Autopsies on Guam are currently being conducted by acting medical examiner Dr. Philip Douterman. The chief medical examiner's office hasn't been permanently staffed with a medical examiner since the retirement of Dr. Aurelio Espinola earlier this year. Espinola had served as the chief medical examiner for more than 25 years. Dowderman is a pathologist and lab director at the Commonwealth Health Corporation in the CNMI. He recently completed an autopsy on a 70-year-old woman identified as Sachiko Kaseda. She died May 26 at Ipoh Beach in Tumon from drowning. An autopsy also completed on a 60-year-old man who died beachside near the Pacific Star. Cause of death in that case was also drowning. The Attorney Generals on Guam and in the CNMI are collaborating in a search for a forensic pathologist to cover the region. Department of Revenue and Taxation today mailing out more than 1,800 tax refund checks. The refunds total $6 million. The refunds are for error-free returns filed on or before February 4th of this year. Tax refunds are being garnished for taxpayers who owe a debt to GovGuam. For these stories and more, log on to postguam.com or pick up a copy of today's Guam Daily Post.
News time on 93.3 The Point is 8:35.
Side Connect time. Give them a ring later on, 888-8888, and ask them about how you might be able to get some great internet and mobile plans without forking over an arm and a leg. They really do have some great packages at iConnect.
The Extra Point with Jerry Roberts of Guam Training.
Hi, I'm Jerry Roberts, and every day on The Ray Gibson Show, I get to comment on the incredibly diverse, fun, challenging, sometimes frustrating, often exciting, but always interesting world of work. I hope you'll be there with us.
You can find daily transcripts of The Extra Point at guamtraining.com. Tune in every weekday morning at 7:20 for The Extra Point with Jerry Roberts, brought to you by Guahan Insurance Services and First Hawaiian Bank on 93.3 The Point.
And just updating the traffic gizmo here to see how people are faring down in East Agana. And right now traffic it's actually in East Agana, it's kind of breaking up. I see a bit of movement in the middle of the line. So there it seems to be congested near the Shell, and then there's a bit of a quick traffic moving, and then going back towards the traffic light at Route 8, coming out of that light, that's still sort of backed up. But it's all part of the same traffic jam. But if it's moving, either less cars are going into it, or the police are letting more folks through. But that's the main story right now. All other areas, I see areas where it's a little slowed down, but they're very short. Very short. Front gate of Big Navy is slow, and let's see, no congestion up at Anderson, and everywhere else looks pretty good. A little bit of congestion up by Kmart intersection, but it's really short. So enjoy your morning commute here on Guam, and that's right now traffic on The Point.
This is Ronnie. Ronnie is about to break his piggy bank.
Come on, piggy bank.
Ronnie wants to upgrade his smartphone.
And this piggy's gonna help me.
If Ronnie had signed up for GTA's handset payment option, he could have selected a new smartphone with an affordable monthly plan.
I could have what?
Exactly. Sign up for HBO at GTA and don't break the bank.
I'm sorry, piggy bank.
Terms and conditions apply. GTA, we start with you.
And we're back. This is The Point, the Ray Gibson Show. I'm Darrell Taggarty sitting in for the vacationing Ray Gibson. It's 8:38, and I want to thank you for tuning in this morning. We've been having ourselves a good time taking a look at the news, what's been happening here and there. And also, the folks online have been joining us in the conversation on Facebook Live. And the conversation recently has been, let's see, Chris Chip was asking why, let's get back to this. Why would we send GVB people to Washington? Nobody on the mainland can afford to come here, and why would they, unless they're under orders? And then others chiming in, Jonathan Bullwinkle saying, I think this is a good trip as it's raising awareness of Guam and D.C. Most people, especially in the U.S. government, don't even know about Guam or where it is. And Chris saying, and they still won't care. And then Denise Legaspi is saying, but every trip or hiccup is at the taxpayer's expense. And why? And then Chris says, why does it take so many people? And Denise making a joke about how many people it takes to change a light bulb, but I guess you can't have just one dancer out there. That's not an event. You got to have, lots of flash. And then Jonathan Bullwinkle explaining they possibly won't care, but when you're trying to get money from them, you need to make them aware of the island. But what better way than some dancers and the 75th Liberation Party? Richard Leon agreeing, and then we got on to some other things. But as you might have heard me say here and there over the while I've been on the radio, I went to college in D.C. I worked at Mr. Wamfat's office back in 1973 as an intern, and I spent about 12 years in D.C. And it's not that it's unusual that people don't know where Guam is, but people coming to D.C. from congressional districts all over the country, or coming from all over the country to work for the federal government in D.C., they may not have learned about Guam in their high school textbooks, and if they've heard about it, then they've heard only the shorthand about how it's a military outpost. It's the only value that it has, and only reason why Americans would care that about anything about Guam or about World War II.
I can attest from my education time on the mainland, never mentioned Guam, ever. Not in any reason. I mean, if it hadn't been for my own interest in World War II history, I would not have really ever known about Guam at all living on the mainland. You'd be surprised how many people just simply over there do not know we even exist. I'd say probably 95% of that population does not even know we exist.
When Robert Underwood was the congressman, was our congressman, he was asked, what is your number one job in Washington, D.C.? And his response was, just letting people know that we even exist.
Yeah.
It has not been high on the radar. Hawaii, of course, has been promoted and has had the spotlight on it, and it's got Pearl Harbor, and it became a state in 1959. But Guam was not even, you couldn't even come to Guam without permission of the Secretary of the Navy until 1962, late in 1962. You couldn't buy a plane ticket that ended on Guam. You had to have a plane ticket that transited Guam, or you had to have a letter from the Secretary of the Navy saying you are authorized to enter Naval Base Guam. And I know because I found my dad's letter when we came in '59. And my mom was returning to Guam, and she had to come as a spouse. She couldn't come under her own name because she was a spouse, and so she had to have her husband's permission. And so my dad had to basically request because he had a contract to come as a teacher. But in D.C., there are people who need to know that Guam exists if we're ever to get our legislation advanced in the Congress, in the scrum of legislation. We need for people to know that we are here and that we're part of the American family, and it's a constant task. If I had worked for Madeline Bordallo as Congresswoman, I worked for her as Senator and as Lieutenant Governor. But if I had worked for her as Congresswoman, I would have been assigned to D.C. because I could just talk and talk and talk and talk and get all over the place and let people know who we are and what we do out here. And that would have been my role because she knows me that well. And she just would have fielded me. And so when we send a delegation from Guam to do entertaining, especially up on Capitol Hill, or something that our congressman is arranging, not for the Guam community in D.C., which is large, of folks who have left Guam and relocated to the D.C. area. It was large before San Diego, before Washington State, before San Francisco, Alameda. Before those communities grew, Washington, D.C. There were Chamorros who left Guam in the 1950s who settled in Washington, D.C., and they were all congregating in an area of Oxon Hill, Maryland, in the suburbs near Andrews Air Force Base. Well, not to send people there, but to send people to attend a function that our delegate would invite people from the Hill, and so staffers and congressmen from the Hill would come to an evening where you have a spread of local food, Chamorro food, put together by folks who live there, and donate to the congressman's office for this nice spread. Then we have some a visiting delegation from Guam, just like all the states do, as a promotion. And then the staffers and the Chamorros that live in D.C. area go around and mingle with all of the guests and help explain in real time who we are and how long we've been Americans and how we don't talk with an accent, and we have responsible jobs, and we acquit ourselves well and deserve to have a few minutes of their attention among the 56 states and territories. And that's why we send. And that's a good reason to send folks over from GVB to promote Guam there. We support our delegate. We have a delegation to Congress, and it's a delegation of one. He's a delegate, a non-voting delegate. And so we have to support that delegate in the work he has to do. Since we elected him and sent him over there, we may as well support him, right? And so that's why. That's exactly why. And so that's what we've been talking about here on Facebook Live. And let's see. Yeah, we know, Pam says, we know more about the United States than they know about us. Well, we're supposed to. You took civics, right? So we're supposed to know about that metropolitan national, government.
We are a part of them. They are not a part of us.
And in fact, we are a disposable part of them. The U.S. Congress could sell Guam. It's a property of the United States, and it can be divested. And that is underlying, actually, our political status. As long as we have not ourselves, as a body politic, joined the United States, and the Congress has not recognized the people of Guam as having had a say on the eventual disposition of this land, it remains in the national inventory as conveyed by the Treaty of Paris in 1898. And so we really should get on with it. I thought we'd do it before the 100th anniversary of that treaty, but we still haven't, and it's 30 years afterwards and counting. So that's anybody who's been interested in what goes on with political status will eventually come to that factoid, and we just have to deal with it. Got a comment here. It says, let's see, Chris Chip says, that's a great story, but this is not a perfect world. It would be great to see more people from the mainland to visit and improve our revenue and spread the word about what a beautiful island it is. And actually we do. We've got 22,000 or so military folks assigned to Guam, whether they're assigned because they're home-ported ships or they are based at Anderson. And then we've got, all those B-52s that come in. They're not stationed here. They're rotated from bases in the States. So we've got those folks coming through. And then when we have exercises, we have ships and planes coming through. And they're all military connected, and they're all here for, 3 weeks, 2 months, 6 months, whatever it is, on top of whoever's already here. And we have contractors who are brought out by the Department of Defense to work on contracts that they've won through the system. And so we've got folks who are here from the States, but they're here for a mission that has nothing to do with us as a community. And so we have a community to develop. It's our common space. It's the one thing that I have in common with you. You and I may not be related by blood. You and I may not be related by ethnicity. But we are part of one body politic. If you're a citizen, then we are voters together. We are taxpayers together. We have children in this community attending local schools, and we've invested in real estate, and we care about what's going to happen next week, next month, next year. And so we act together to make things happen. And that we are the ones who are sending our delegation as a body politic to Washington, D.C. We sent our delegate, and we're sending a delegation from GVB to do what it takes to get the attention of some of the folks who are movers and shakers and have a hand in policy going forward as we try to perfect this American Union as Americans. And whether you prefer a different political status or not, you've got a status now, and you got to make the best of it. And that's what we can do. Because otherwise, you just become, arthritic and old and gray and turn back to dust. And then and nothing gets solved. And so, we can take care of some other problems here. Yeah, I see here, don't push your luck about using the military as visitors. They are here on orders, and many don't have a choice at sea or in the desert. And, but they are actually like tourists. We can treat them as guests and welcome them into the community as tourists. Like we invite and entertain Koreans and Japanese and Taiwanese and Chinese from the mainland. And, it's like whoever comes, right? This is our main non-military industry and non-Gov Guam industry is tourism, hospitality. And whether you see it as being a business opportunity or as simply a way to help people understand who we are, then you can do your part to make people feel welcome. And so, the military uses these bases for their needs, exercises, etc. What other options are available? Yeah, but what are we doing with the pieces that we control? Why do we trash it? Why do we trash them? Or why do we allow people to trash them? Or why do we not have a really good solid waste management system so that we don't have a trash problem? How well do we keep our roads up as far as cutting the grass? I think they just got around to cutting the grass on Marine Drive and Deaded, where it had gotten up to about 5 feet high, growing in the sidewalks. It's so impressive. I mean, how could something be ignored that long? I just couldn't understand it. I mean, I wanted to get out there and cut it. I was embarrassed. I am embarrassed by the way that our roadsides, mayor says, oh, no, that's up to DPW to do. And DPW goes, we're cutting the grass along the roads. But then there's like a half-mile strip where nobody's touched it for a year. This sort of thing. But we're engaged. We're involved. Jesse Limtiaco says the Department of Defense acts like GVB when they try to get their service members to live here for a couple of years. Laughing out loud. Yeah, they have to play it up too. They want the quality of life for the service members who are assigned here to be a pleasant tour of duty, just as pleasant as possible. They don't want Guam to be considered, as it has in the past, is basically the armpit of choices of bases to be assigned to. We want people to feel good about leaving as good about staying, and when they leave. We want them to leave with a positive understanding and empathy for who we are out here as a community. And so if we look at them as just, they don't care, well, you're not helping. You're not helping at all. You got to actually engage with some hospitality, and many, many, many people do. So, everyone can do a better job of it. But actually, if we just treat each other better and expect more from our government to have them treat us better, in the services that we're expecting, it would go a long way. A lot of it has to do with self-respect. Nick Perlowski says, a lot of military love it here. My wife had worked with several at Anderson who have been TAD here numerous times and love it. Yes, there are people throughout our community who have been assigned here, and when their enlistment or their commission was up for renewal, they said, "No, I think I'm just going to become part of the community here. This is what I've been looking for my whole life." And these are people that we know and love. I could mention a string of names. And Bob Kelly, you know, it's a long list. And so, you know, it's not hopeless and it's not all doom and gloom. Yeah, there are people who come here and they got off a ship and they've been in a submarine for 6 months and they surfaced and they happened to be on Guam and they were stumbling around in Tumon and they were under orders, and you know, you gotta smile and say, "Welcome to Guam. Glad you could come up for air. Thanks for being ready to do what needs to be done." Just like our own community members becoming members of the United States military and going other places, serving the nation. And we expect our people to be treated right when they go somewhere else. Well, these are sons and daughters of people in the States, and they're sent out here to do a job. The job happens to be here. This is where they're stationed. This is where they're told, okay, you can go out and play for 6 hours and come back here, and we're gonna fly. We're gonna go on a ship. We're gonna go do something that you're supposed to do. But you got some time out there. And what better way of helping people in the States understand who we are than extending what GVB is calling the Hafaday spirit to these people who come here and look like tourists, but they're white, and you got to cut them some slack. They don't look like they're from Taiwan or from the mainland of China or from Japan or Korea. They look like they're from Iowa or
they're
Nebraska.
The Howley kind.
Yeah, and you know it's a kind of a racism to not see them as simply tourists. You know, before I go, because I'm only here till 9 o'clock. I wanted to get something in here. There was a story over the weekend about GPD staffing, and we didn't really need to make a call out on this one, but I've got some questions that maybe the Guam Daily Post can kind of dig in and find out a little bit more and tell us a little bit more about this. The headline says it all: 504 needed and have 126. So we have, of GPD officers on the beat, we have 3 shifts plus overtime instead of 4 shifts that have time to process cases for court. Now my question is, what's the 504 number based on? We need to have 504 uniformed police on duty on the payroll now for our population center? Why is that? What's that number based on? Is it based on our population, our crime numbers, the case clearance percentage, response time, workload targets? You know, when was this number calculated? Was it calculated 20 years ago, or was it calculated this year? And does it include the improvements in technology? Cameras, body cams, stuff like that. And does the current staffing pattern, that 126, mean that we've reduced the number of detectives and investigators in favor of beat cops and traffic cops? Or are we still talking about 126 includes everybody? You know, this is, and then what would the capital equipment needed? A budget needed for 504 uniformed active officers. You need weaponry, you need vehicles, you need workspaces, you need computers and cameras, uniforms. And how would the crime rate change if we had 504 officers? I think that our police are doing a good job in catching criminals. We could use more help getting the interdiction with drugs. But, that's for another day. It's just about 9 o'clock. Time for Fox News here. I'm Daryl Taggarty. I'm sitting in for Ray Gibson. I'll be here tomorrow morning at 6 o'clock. And I hope to see you here or have you there on the other end of this radio station. Have a good day, everyone.
You're listening to KUSG Hagadnya.
He says it's fake news and worse. I'm Steve Rappaport, Fox News. President Trump lashing out again at what he calls the failing New York Times. Fox's Gernal Scott.
The president used the word treason to describe the Times report of mounting cyber attacks on Russia to prevent interference in 2020. The president also criticized Times reporters as cowards. But Democrat and chair of the House Intelligence Committee, Adam Schiff, on CBS Face the Nation said the president's own words compromise efforts to stop meddling.
When the president says that he still is open to receiving foreign help and he may or may not call the FBI.
A new Fox News poll out today shows half of respondents believe the Trump campaign coordinated with Russia in 2016, up 6% from 3 months ago.
That same poll doesn't look good for President Trump if the election were held today.
Former Vice President Joe Biden by a wide margin, with 49% of primary voters saying they'd vote for him over the president's 39%. Senators Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren, Kamala Harris, and Mayor Pete Buttigieg also edged out the president, although by less, Buttigieg and Harris with just 1 point.
Fox's Jackie Heinrich. Britain and Saudi Arabia side with the U.S., blaming Iran for suspected attacks on 2 oil tankers in the Gulf of Oman.
The question now is whether or not there will be a response from the international community, since images do show the day of the attack that things should point towards Iran. Now, as one of the damaged tankers was towed back to port, Saudi Arabia and the United States flew F-15 fighter jets over the Persian Gulf in a show of force against the Iranians.
Fox's Trey Yingst in the Middle East Bureau. Iran rejects the accusations. The head of Boeing concedes the company made a mistake in handling a problem with the cockpit warning system in its 737 MAX jets before 2 crashes killed nearly 350 people. Those jets remain grounded worldwide. This is Fox News.
Let's go for a drive.
Let's take a stroll. Let's gallivant. Let's go cruising.
We all have different ways to describe how we get up and go in our cars. But whatever you may call it, you can do more of it when you save 6% off your fuel purchases at any Shell station when you use your eligible Bank of Guam Visa and MasterCard credit cards. So stop by any Guam or CNMI Shell station and start saving today. Visit bankofguam.com for more information. Terms and conditions apply. Bank of Guam, the People's Bank. Member FDIC.
It's important to have claims process that works for you. At Guahan Insurance Services, we make things simple and convenient. Same door you walk in to purchase your insurance is the same door you open to file your claim. We can't pretend that the car insurance claims process is fun, but we can promise a hassle-free and speedy recovery without any runarounds. For your home, auto, and business insurance, visit us at the Camacho Landmark Center on Marine Corps Drive in Tamuning. Don't forget to like us on Facebook or give us a call at 475-1162 or text 929-SAVE. That's 929-7283.
More protests in Hong Kong over a controversial bill that would allow criminal suspects to be extradited to mainland China. Chief Executive Carrie Lam apologized and suspended the bill, but demonstrators want her to go.
Protesters say the suspension of the bill and the recent apology just isn't enough, and they fear once the demonstrations settle down, the bill will reappear. On Sunday, a written apology was issued saying that, quote, deficiencies in the government's work had led to substantial controversies and disputes in society, causing disappointment and grief among the people.
Fox's Jeff Paul. What did you do for Dad today?
The recognition of Father's Day dates back to the early 1900s, when the daughter of a Civil War veteran attended a Mother's Day service in 1909 and decided fathers